Chapter 401. This one is afraid of losing you. Mo Chuan placed his chin on her head and said with a firm expression, "You will stay in the palace in the future and stay by this one's side. This one will protect you and will never let you be injured again. No matter how brave Chu Xiaoyang is, he wouldn't dare to mess around with you in the palace." Stay in the palace? Chen Ning looked around and revealed a gentle smile. How was this place different from Chu Xiaoyang's palace? It's all made of fine gold wire cages. What, do you want to keep me like a canary? This one would rather lock you up like a canary in a cage than let that leopard cat Chu Xiaoyang eat you. Mo Chuan stared at her. Mo Chuan looked at her. This girl, he was willing to risk the world and offend Empress Dowager Zhou to save her, but she didn't appreciate it at all. Reporting to the emperor, the hot water has been prepared. A maid's voice came from outside the door. All right. Mo Chuan picked her up and walked out the door with large steps. Hey, put me down. I can walk on my own. Chen Ning's face turned a little red. Was he going to carry her to take a bath? This one won't let you go. Mo Chuan carried her into the bathroom. The room was warm and steam rose up. Behind the screen was a large bathtub with towels and women's clothes on the side. Even underwear and towels were prepared. Beside the bathtub, there were 4 maids standing there with their hands in their hands. Seeing this, Chen Ning's face turned even redder. Mo Chuan, tell them to leave. I'll bathe myself. She was not used to bathing in front of outsiders. Normally when she was bathing, even Xiao Ru was sent outside to guard the door. Everyone leave, Mo Chuan ordered. After the maids left, Mo Chuan put her down. He calmly said, All right, there are no outsiders. You can bathe. Chen Ning did not move at all. Why do you want me to bathe? Her face was pale as she stared at him. Her eyes were especially dark. Do you think I'm dirty after being touched by him? Mo Chuan couldn't help knitting his brows. He looked at her in a good and funny manner. What was going on in this lass's head? This one doesn't care. Even if you really are. This one doesn't care. You will always be clean in my heart. He seriously replied. But I didn't. He didn't succeed at all. She bit her lips. This one knows. Silly girl. Do you want to keep wearing the Imperial Army's clothes like this? Oh, the sour smell of sweat on it almost made me vomit. But if you don't mind, I don't mind either. He made a gesture to hug her. Chen Ning took a few steps back. She couldn't help stomping her feet as she looked at him in anger. She really wanted to take a bath. Chu Xiaoyang's touch made her feel dirty. Then, you should also leave. Chen Ning rolled her eyes at him. He was an emperor and a man at that. Yet he wanted to see her bathe? This one. Mo Chuan said with a calm expression. You can be assured, this one definitely won't peek. I'll turn around, and there's a screen between us. Can you be assured like this? Chun of Chun. He didn't Chun of Ning of. Chen Ning speechlessly stared at him. But with him here, she did feel safe. Even if he didn't say a single word. As long as she could see his tall figure through the screen, her heart would fill with a sweet feeling. Soaking in the warm water, she comfortably let out a long sigh. The scene in the carriage was like a nightmare, suddenly so far away from her. Chapter 402. Thinking that Mo Chuan was outside, her face filled with warmth. She quickly came out of the bathtub and changed into clean clothes. The sound of her changing clothes entered his ears, and he couldn't help letting his imagination run wild. He forced himself to control his mind and not look over at the screen. Chen Ning was tying the last piece of clothing when her body suddenly flew into the air. She had already been picked up by someone. She did not need to look back to know that this familiar warm embrace belonged to Mo Chuan. He stared at her without blinking. She was like a fresh white lotus that had just come out of the water after bathing. Her black hair was still dripping with water. Mo Chuan, you're not keeping your words. You're peeking at me. His burning eyes made her face turn red. This one did not peek. If this one wanted to look, I could openly look. Ning, you're truly beautiful. His straightforward praise made Chen Ning's face turn even redder. Especially with his hot eyes, it made her heart beat faster like a little deer. He carried her back to the room and placed her on a chaise lounge. She wanted to get up, but he pressed down on her shoulder. Don't move. What for? Chen Ning blinked. I'm applying medicine for you. He opened a square brocade box and took out a small porcelain bottle. He pulled out the cork, and a cool medicinal fragrance wafted out. Chun Ning curiously looked into the brocade box. There were all kinds of bottles and jars inside, all of different sizes. Is this your treasure chest? Be careful, don't move. And Mo Chuan gently tapped the back of her hand, stopping her from randomly touching it. There's a poison inside that can seal one's throat. Chun Ning stuck out her tongue and quickly took back her hand. Be good and lie down. And Mo Chuan used his finger to pick up a bit of the clear ointment and gently applied it to the swollen area on her neck, slowly rubbing it. The ointment was cool and very comfortable. After it was applied, the burning pain was reduced by a lot. He sat beside her, very close to her. There was a nice smell coming from his body. The candlelight was like orange. His fingers were slender, his eyes were handsome, and his eyes were focused. There was a kind of soft light that could not be dispersed. With this kind of beautiful face, there was no girl that would not be infatuated with him. She unknowingly fell into a daze. Is this one good looking? Good looking. As soon as the words came out, she realized it. Her face turned red, and she felt a burning sensation. Suddenly, there was a cool touch on her cheek. The ointment on his finger was rubbing on the hot part of her face, and he was gently applying it. You're blushing, he said unhurriedly. Chun Ning immediately reflexively said, This is feeling refreshed. Hey, why is it white again? He held back his laughter and deliberately teased her. Because you put medicine on me. She glared at him angrily. His fingers stopped on her face. It wasn't her face that was injured. Ning-er. He suddenly stretched out his arms and pulled her into his embrace. He hugged her gently, very gently, as if he was hugging a fragile treasure. Chun. His hand stroked her hair again and again, leaning into his broad and warm embrace. She couldn't help but close her eyes, and the corners of her eyes started to tear. This feeling of being cherished and loved by others was really good. Chun, and he said it in. Chun Ning. Chapter 403. She heard his voice come from his chest. This one is the emperor. This one will give the order for you to separate. From now on, you are free and can marry whoever you want. She couldn't help raising her brows. Really? Absolutely. Then I'll say, I want to marry. Chu Xiaobai. She turned her eyes and deliberately said this. You can't. He blurted out and then said word for word. If you want to marry, you can only marry me, Chu Mo Chuan. Chu Mo Chuan? She gave a soft laugh. So your name really is Mo Chuan. I thought you told me a fake name. In front of you, every word I say is true. I have never lied to you. His expression was serious and his eyes were focused. Nonsense. You lied to me that you were an assassin. He placed a finger on her lips and slightly shook his head at her. That was what you said. This one did not deny it. When she thought back to that time, his answer was 2 words, perhaps. You really are a sly fox, just like Xiao Si, she said in a snappy voice. And Mo Chuan's face sunk, and his voice was filled with a bit of annoyance. This one does not mind you calling this one a fox, but this one does mind you saying this one is like Xiao Si. Why? He is a eunuch, but this one is not. His dark eyes sparkled with a faint glow. Pucci. Chun Ning couldn't hold it in and began to laugh. She never thought that the emperor who controlled the life and death of the world would have such a childish tone when he spoke. Truly, cute. Then what should I call you in the future? Should I call you the emperor? Mo Chuan? Or Xiao He? She tilted her head and revealed a mischievous smile. Hearing the name Xiao He, Mo Chuan's lips couldn't help twitching. This was simply his dark history. If the civil and military officials knew that the emperor they deeply respected had such a nickname, where would his prestige as a monarch be? Call this one Mo Chuan. He liked the way she said these 2 words. There was a special lingering feeling to it that made his heart beat faster every time he heard it. Other than her, no one dared to call him by his name. Only her. He only allowed her. All right, then I'll call you Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan. She called him over and over again. Her lips curled up and her eyes sparkled like water. He revealed a smile as he looked at her in front of him. Although the two of them were just talking casually and laughing, it had already made him feel extremely satisfied. His heart was at peace, and he only wished that time would last forever. Don't call me that again. If you call me again. He looked at her with a threatening gaze. She had almost melted the hard iceberg in his heart into a pool of spring water. Furthermore, everyone behaved themselves in front of him, not even daring to breathe loudly. But why was this girl not afraid of him at all? Mo Chuan, she suddenly called out in a clear voice. Mo, he subconsciously replied, and then he saw his reflection clearly reflected in her smiling and tender eyes. Mo, he yawned. He chit. Do you still remember what I owe you? She lowered her long and dense eyelashes and said softly, Now, I want to return it to you. Mo, he mo. He stared at her in disbelief. What did you say? Chapter 404. Mo Chuan's heart almost jumped out. He gritted his teeth thinking, Is this girl Fox? He is a man. How could he not want it? Yes, of course I want it, he said in a hoarse voice. His eyes looked down and fell onto her moist red lips. Here, it's clean. I didn't let him touch it. She suddenly reached out with a finger and pointed it at her lips. Mo Chuan's face couldn't help turning hot. Did she know how much of a temptation these words were to him? Close your eyes. She was very close to him, and a wisp of sweet fragrance wafted into his nose. This was the smell that belonged to her. No one had ever spoken to him in such a commanding tone, but he obediently closed his eyes. His heart was beating wildly, and his arms that were hugging her were stiff. A cool and clear thing was imprinted on his chin. It was completely different from the feeling he expected. Mo Chuan opened his eyes in confusion and saw a mischievous smile on her face. Ha, you've been tricked. An eye for an eye. Who told you to rub medicine on my face? Her smile made her eyes turn into crescent moons. She proudly waved her finger at him, and there was a cool ointment on it. Mo Chuan was filled with shame and anger. He held her down, and his eyes were filled with flames. Little girl, you dare tease this one? She giggled as she stuck out her tongue. I don't dare, I was wrong. Sir Emperor, please forgive me. What emperor? What kind of random title was this? Mo Chuan couldn't help curling his lips and revealing a smile on his face. He never smiled and always had a deep and expressionless face, but in front of her, he couldn't help feeling happy. He always asked himself why he didn't like other women and only had feelings for her. Perhaps it was because she could make him smile. This one will punish you. He deliberately revealed a serious face. Now, this one will punish you to return what you owe me 10 times over. He wrapped his arms around her waist, feeling that she couldn't hold it. He did not dare use any strength, but he would not let her escape. Emperor, do you want to bully this commoner girl? She revealed a gentle smile. Seeing his slowly approaching face, she couldn't help feeling a bit nervous. Her heart was pounding. She guessed what he was going to do, but she did not flinch, nor did she avoid it. Not because he was the emperor, but rather because he was Mo Chuan. This one does not bully commoner girls. This one only bullies you. His voice was as low as a whisper, and his thin lips touched the tip of her nose. Her body trembled slightly in his arms. Her pair of black eyes that were as clear as water rippled, causing his heart to surge. Close your eyes, he said in a commanding voice. Although her eyes were very beautiful, how could he have a nerve to kiss her when she was staring at him like that? All right. She obediently closed her eyes. He took a deep breath and tried hard to control his heartbeat. He closed his eyes and moved his lips down slowly. It was soft, warm, and sweet with a refreshing fragrance. His feeling was really, really good. Good gee. When he was in ecstasy, he suddenly heard her silver bell-like laughter. Mo Chuan was stunned. He opened his eyes and found that his lips were kissing the back of her hand. As for her, his body was twitching from suppressing his laughter, and he couldn't stand up while holding his stomach. His handsome face instantly turned red. Chapter 405. She was simply the nemesis of his life. Mo Chuan stared at her smiling appearance, but his heart was filled with an indescribable feeling of being moved. She could make his blood boil, make his heart beat, and let him know what it was to laugh. After all these years, his heart had always been like still water. He thought that he could be like a dry well without any ripples, until he met her. He was no longer a walking corpse that only knew how to read memorials and deal with the affairs of the world. He had become a living person. Mo Chuan, I have something to ask you. She suddenly put away her smile and looked at him with a serious expression. Ask. He didn't like to talk too much. If it wasn't for her, he had never said as much as he did today. You wouldn't lie to me, right? The words reached her mouth, but she hesitated. She bit her lower lip and her eyes turned. No. He stared at her. After knowing her for so long, when had he ever lied to her? All right, then I'll ask you. You. She was still a bit embarrassed. If you have something to say, then ask. He was annoyed. What did this girl want to ask? Have you ever had another woman? She was shocked and blurted out. She had wasted all this time just for this? And Mo Chuan didn't know if he should be angry or amused, but he still replied in a serious manner, No, never. But doesn't the emperor have 3 palaces and 6 courtyards with 72 concubines? There are countless women in the palace. How could you not have a woman? Also, you're already 24 this year. You wouldn't have something. Difficult to say, right? What difficult to say? Mo Chuan was stunned, but then he realized what she meant. Flames of anger quickly filled his brows. He stared at her, and for a moment, he wanted to strangle her to death. If it wasn't for her being frightened today, he really wouldn't mind letting her personally feel if he had something difficult to say. Don't be angry. Being angry means you admit it. Actually, it doesn't matter if you do. I remember there are many ways to treat this illness. When the time comes, I'll write them all down and it will definitely cure your illness. He stared at her, and his dark pupils seemed like they were about to rain. If you say another word, this one will. He said each word through gritted teeth. She couldn't help covering her mouth. This is bad. She seemed to have touched his dragon scales. I won't say it. I won't say a single word. She hammered her head in annoyance. What was wrong with her today? How could she blurt out such words? Her IQ was not online at all. It was said that the IQ of a woman in love was equal to 0. Could it be that she had really fallen for him? Did she really like him? Mo Chuan took in 2 deep breaths before spitting out the stuffy air in his chest. After being the emperor for so many years, she was the first woman who could make him so angry that even his hair stood on end. That's right. I'm afraid you won't be able to hide it for long. If the Empress Dowager finds out, she will definitely be furious. At that time, if she orders my head to be cut off in a fit of anger, then I won't be able to keep my little life. Chen Ning quickly changed the topic. Don't worry, with me here, I won't let anyone touch a single strand of your hair. He patted her head and pulled out a strand of her hair in an amused and annoyed manner. Your hair, only this one can touch. Chen Ning did not even have time to speak before she heard a serious voice coming from outside the door. Chapter 406. It was Empress Dowager Zhou. The two of them separated as they were both shocked at the same time. Especially Mo Chuan. With his internal strength, nothing in a 10-meter radius could escape his ears, but Empress Dowager Zhou had actually arrived in front of his door without him noticing. He really was blinded by love. His handsome face couldn't help blushing. He helped her tidy up her messy hair and stood up calmly. His careful actions made Chen Ning's heart skip a beat. Don't be afraid. I'm here. He solemnly said these 2 words to her. As soon as his voice fell, there was a pong sound as the door was suddenly pushed open. Empress Dowager Zhou leaned on her cane as she walked in step by step. Her cold eyes swept over the 2 of them before falling onto Mo Chuan's face. Although Mo Chuan's expression was calm and Chen Ning's clothes were neat, the 2 of them had a faint blush on their faces. She was an experienced person, so naturally she could tell with a glance. She suppressed her anger and coldly said, Emperor, your courage is becoming bigger and bigger. You even dare to fabricate this widow's decree. Hearing this, Mo Chuan knew that Empress Dowager Zhou knew everything. He already knew that this matter couldn't be hidden from Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes, and he never thought of hiding it. If he dared to do it, he dared to take responsibility. Only he never thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would come this quickly. Mother has come the right time. Ning, come and greet Mother with this one. Mo Chuan held Chun Ning's hand and brought her in front of Empress Dowager Zhou, calmly bowing down. Empress Dowager Zhou was even angrier seeing this. She stared right at Chun Ning beside him and said with a cold smile, "Ding Yuan Princess, do you still remember your identity? This is the Emperor's palace, and you've charged in as the princess. This is a great crime of disrespect. Men, give this AI Jia a heavy punishment." Her dragon head cane forcefully slammed down, and several maids came in with cane, reaching out to pull Chun Ning. She had even prepared a cane, so it was clear she had come prepared. "Mother, this is your son's place, and it was your son who brought her here, so she is not guilty. If Imperial Mother must punish me, then punish this son." Mo Chuan's cold eyes made the maids not dare to come forward. Empress Dowager Zhou said in a cold voice, "All right, since the Emperor is willing to take the punishment for her, then this widow will beat you, you unfilial thing." Mo Chuan didn't say anything as he turned around, revealing his back. "Come, beat them for this widow," Empress Dowager Zhou ordered. The palace maids looked at each other, but no one dared to make a move. The Empress Dowager and the Emperor were fighting, but they were just servants. How could they have the guts to hit the Emperor? Empress Dowager Zhou's body trembled with anger. She took a cane from a servant's hand and forcefully slammed it down on Mo Chuan's back. Mo Chuan was still wearing the Royal Army uniform. There was a thin layer of armor on the outside, but he had taken it off and wrapped it around Chun Ning's body. At this time, he was only wearing a single layer of clothing. With a schwa sound, a streak of blood stained his clothes. But he didn't make a sound or move. "Ew, are you trying to anger me to death?" Empress Dowager Zhou loved her son and couldn't do it anymore. She threw the cane away and pointed at Mo Chuan as she scolded. "Emperor, what are you wearing? As the ruler of a country, do you have any dignity at all? Not only did you fake this widow's decree, you even disguised yourself as a royal army soldier to steal your nephew's woman. You have simply lost the royal family's face." Chapter 407. Mother, your son will give a decree tomorrow to have them separate. At that time, she will no longer be King Ding Yuan's princess. He had already made his decision. Since he was going to do it, he would do it completely, not dragging it around. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou looked at him in disappointment. She revealed an angry smile. "You even thought of this move, but have you ever thought of a reason to have them separate? Today, King Ding Yuan has put on a good show in front of all the ministers. His love for his wife will soon spread across the world. Yet you want to give a decree to have them separate? What are your intentions? Do you want everyone in the world to point at your nose and curse you for stealing the wife of a minister? Do you want to bear this eternal infamy?" She spoke in a righteous manner. "For her, your son is willing to bear it." He said word for word. "Emperor, do you know what you are saying?" Empress Dowager Zhou did not dare believe her ears. Mo Chuan gritted his teeth. "Mother, since even you can see that King Ding Yuan is acting, why did you still let him take Ninger away? Do you know what just happened? If it wasn't for your son arriving in time." "Emperor, you're confused." Empress Dowager Zhou forcefully slammed her cane down and cut him off. "This widow has already said that she is King Ding Yuan's woman. If King Ding Yuan wants her to live or die, it is her fate. No matter what King Ding Yuan does to her, it is not up to you, the Emperor's uncle, to steal her away. Have you thought about what you will do when King Ding Yuan comes to the palace tomorrow to ask for her? Do you want to make this scandal known to the entire city and the entire world?" Your son, Mo Chuan, still wanted to say something. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly stared at him. "Shut up for this widow. This widow doesn't want to listen to you right now. Ding Yuan Princess, come with this widow." She looked at Chun Ning, not hiding the disgust and hostility she had for her on her face. Although she didn't like her, Empress Dowager Zhou had to admit that this girl was as beautiful as a flower. She was delicate but not bewitching, pure but not out of the ordinary. Not to mention men liking her, even she, who had seen countless people, felt her eyes light up. Especially her face. It was clean without any makeup. Her skin was like a piece of jade that had absorbed enough water, very smooth and moist. Her eyes were like a pair of purple grapes, soaked in mist, clear and bright. The so-called femme fatale, this was most likely a beauty like this. It was no wonder that her son, who had never been moved by any woman, would fly into a rage for her and personally come to snatch her away. Mother, she will stay here, not going anywhere. Mo Chuan stood in front Empress Chen Ning. Empress Dowager Zhou said with her cane, Emperor, do you know what place this is? This place is your palace. She is a Wang Fei, not an imperial concubine in your harem. If you want her to stay here, is it because you want her to sleep with you? Her tone instantly became stern. Ding! Ding! Mo Chuan's face sunk and anger could be seen. We are innocent. Your son has never had that kind of dirty thoughts. He innocent? Even if she is innocent today, if she stays here, she won't be innocent tomorrow. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a cold laugh. Ding Yuan Princess, this widow is asking you, are you coming with this widow or not? Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat. Empress Dowager Zhou seemed to be implying something. Her meaning was clearly that she couldn't stay here then. She calmly replied, this minister's concubine is willing. Chapter 408. Empress Dowager Zhou's cane hit the back of Mo Chuan's hand and shouted, let go. Mo Chuan did not move at all as he proudly stood there. Mother, where are you taking Ning-er? Emperor, your question is very strange. It was this widow's decree to summon the Ding Yuan princess into the palace. So, of course, she has to be in this widow's palace. Could it be that the decree was fake? Empress Dowager Zhou confidently said, Mother. Mo Chuan was stunned. He never thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would do this. He said in a deep voice, you clearly know that the decree is... This widow doesn't know anything. This widow only knows that everyone knows that this widow gave the decree. Tomorrow, King Ding Yuan will come to find this widow, not you, the emperor. Empress Dowager Zhou's face was filled with rage, but Mo Chuan had a thoughtful look on his face. He could vaguely guess Empress Dowager Zhou's intentions. Chen Ning's eyes revealed a glow of understanding. She lowered her head and covered the smile on her lips, secretly thinking that Empress Dowager Zhou really was a protective master. On the surface, she was scolding and beating her son, but she had already thought of a way to deal with the aftermath for her son. She did not want her son to be called a ruler stealing a minister's wife, and she did not want this royal family scandal spread, so she simply pushed the boat with the current. It seemed like Empress Dowager Zhou taking her away wasn't malicious. Mo Chuan had clearly thought of this as well. His tense face slightly relaxed, but he still held her hand without letting go. Mother, how could he feel assured letting her leave his side, especially with Empress Dowager Zhou's hidden strength? Even he as her son could not see through her. Empress Dowager Zhou raised her brows. This widow wants to take her to the temple and have her copy some scriptures for this widow. Emperor, you won't even allow this? Just copying scriptures? Mo Chuan knit his brows. This widow's eyes are bad, and the scriptures I read before were too small, so I can't see them clearly, so I need to find someone to help this widow copy them. The Ding Yuan princess is intelligent, so it must be a good handwriting. This widow wants to ask you, are you willing to copy scriptures for this widow? Empress Dowager Zhou ignored Mo Chuan and looked down to ask Chen Ning. This minister's concubine is willing. Chen Ning immediately replied, Emperor, the Ding Yuan princess is willing. Why are you stopping her? Could it be that you think this widow will make it hard for her? No matter what, she is my granddaughter-in-law. As the Empress Dowager, how could I make things difficult for a junior? What kind of person do you think I am? Empress Dowager Zhou was so angry that she couldn't help of her. Of her. Empress Dowager Zhou kept coughing in anger, not being. All right, your son will believe mother once and hope that mother will keep her promise. Mo Chuan slowly released his hand and looked at Empress Dowager Zhou with cold eyes. Empress Dowager Zhou did not even look at him. She turned around and walked out with her cane. Empress Dowager Zhou did not bring Ning back to her palace, but rather to the temple next to her palace. Ding Yuan Princess, this widow has said in front of the emperor that I won't make it hard for you and will only have you copy scriptures. There are a total of 108 scriptures here, so when you finish copying them, you can leave this temple. As for your food, there will naturally be someone who will send it over. Reading more scriptures and cultivating your mind is a very beneficial matter for you. Her expression did not reveal any emotions. She pointed at the high pile of scriptures on the table and said, in order to show your respect to the Bodhisattva, you should kneel and copy them. Kneel and copy. Chapter 409. But she still respectfully replied, yes, the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager Zhou did not even look at her. She tapped her cane. Su Jin, a 40-year-old maid, came over and bowed. This servant is here. You will serve the Ding Yuan princess, copying scriptures here and satisfy her needs, but you can't let her take a single step out of the temple. Otherwise, this widow will cut off your legs. Do you understand? She said in a strict voice. This servant understands. The palace maid immediately replied. Ning was clear in her heart. Although this Empress Dowager Zhou said it nicely and called it service, she was actually monitoring her. But she did not plan on leaving the temple. Quietly copying scriptures here was not a bad thing. It was 100 times better than going back to the King Ding Yuan palace to face that trash Chu Xiaoyang. Many thanks, Empress Dowager. She saw Empress Dowager Zhou slowly leave and bowed down to her back. Empress Dowager Zhou's steps stopped, and she slowly turned around. Looking down at Ning, there was no joy or anger on her face. Oh, what are you thanking this widow for? Ning revealed a faint smile and calmly replied, this minister's concubine thanks the Empress Dowager for her help. Help? Empress Dowager Zhou gave a cold laugh. You think this widow will help you? Wishful thinking. She slammed her cane on the ground and left without looking back. With a pong sound, the two doors of the temple were tightly closed. Ning turned around with a faint smile. She walked in front of the table and casually opened a scripture. Does the princess consort want to start copying scriptures now? This servant will help you grind the ink. The maid called Su Jin said in a respectful manner. She had a dignified appearance. Although she was just over 40 years old, her face was filled with maturity. Using the candlelight in front of the table, she secretly looked over Ning. There was a large matter that happened in the royal palace today that everyone knew about. Naturally, she knew what kind of person Ning was. Only she was the same as Empress Dowager Zhou. She never thought that the emperor would steal his nephew's princess. Could this princess be a vixen that even the emperor, who never touched a woman's heart, was moved? Looking at her under the light, she felt that she was as beautiful as jade. It was rare that her eyes were clear, with a hint of innocence and laziness. She suddenly felt a sense of pity for him, not to mention the emperor. At this time, the sky was already dark. There were a dozen or so giant candles lit up in the temple hall, making it quite bright. But Ning did not plan on immediately copying the scriptures. She looked at Su Jin with a smile. Aunt Su Jin, I'm hungry. Is there anything to eat? Even if you want a donkey to pull the mill, the donkey must be fed before it can work. Aunt Su Jin, don't you think so? Su Jin couldn't help finding this funny. Yes, this servant will immediately prepare some food for the princess consort. She walked to the door of the temple, knocked twice, and then whispered a few words to the people outside. Soon, a palace maid brought in a plate of desserts and tea. Ning was not polite. She ate a few desserts and drank some tea, quickly filling her stomach. After a while, Su Jin saw that she did not start writing, so she couldn't help asking, when is the princess consort preparing to start copying scriptures? Then let's start now. Ning saw that she could not refuse, so she walked over to the table. She picked up the brush and wrote a word on the white paper. This was the first time in her life that she was writing with a brush. Su Jin stood on the side, grinding the ink, feeling this strange. Didn't they say they were going to copy the scriptures? Why did the princess consort start drawing earthworms? Chapter 4:10. Chen Ning's words weren't ugly, but she didn't know how to use a brush. Seeing the crooked words, she felt embarrassed. She crumpled the paper into a ball and threw it into the wastebasket. She gave a yawn and said with a smile, "Aunt Sujin, I'm tired. Can I copy scriptures after I wake up?" Sujin was speechless. She had never seen such a bold girl before. Copying scriptures was the Empress Dowager's orders, but she didn't care at all. Wasn't she afraid of angering the Empress Dowager? "It's getting late. Aunt Sujin should go rest. After I wake up tomorrow, I'll naturally copy scriptures." Chen Ning looked around, wanting to find a place to sleep. However, other than a table, a chair, and a shrine, there were only a few prayer mats. Her eyes fell onto the prayer mats and couldn't help lighting up. She placed the prayer mats in a row and laid down on top of them, directly closing her eyes. Sujin looked at her in a daze, not knowing how to report this matter to the Empress Dowager. After a while, she saw that Chen Ning had fallen asleep, so she quietly left the temple and reported to Empress Dowager Zhou. "You're saying that the girl ate her fill and then went to sleep after drawing a few earthworms?" Empress Dowager Zhou knit her brows when she heard this, feeling this was incredible. But she didn't care about this. It wasn't important if she copied scriptures or not. It was just an excuse to keep her here. "Forget it, let her be. Watch over her for this widow. She's not allowed to step out of the temple, and no one is allowed to enter the temple. Even if the emperor comes, she is not allowed." After Empress Dowager Zhou gave this order, she couldn't help coughing. Sujin quickly placed the cold medicine in Empress Dowager Zhou's hands. When Empress Dowager Zhou finished drinking it, she hesitantly said, "Empress Dowager, if the emperor really comes, this servant can't stop him no matter what. Moreover, the emperor's martial arts are very good. Even if he enters the temple, this servant won't be able to find him." "You're right." Empress Dowager Zhou pondered for a bit before her eyes fell onto the medicine bowl on the table. Her eyes lit up, and she said with a faint smile, "This widow being able to recover from my illness is all thanks to King Jing and's medicine for this widow." Yes, this servant also heard that in order to ask for medicine for the Empress Dowager, he knelt in front of the number 1 divine doctor's door for 7 days and 7 nights before the divine doctor was finally moved to give the Empress Dowager a prescription. Only the materials on it are very precious and hard to find, so King Jing had to run through half of the West Shu to collect them. After he returned to the palace, he personally brewed the medicine for the empress without rest. With a grandson like King Jing and Tutu to the dower to the king. Mentioning King Jing and Chu Xiaobai, the two of them revealed smiles. It was clear that Chu Xiaobai was very popular in the royal palace. Empress Dowager Zhou slowly nodded and revealed a loving look in her eyes. Yes, Xiaobai is a good filial child. If the emperor was half as filial as him, this widow would have less to worry about. Sujin pursed her lips into a smile and said, "The emperor is also filial to the Empress Dowager." That decree for King Jing and to find the divine doctor was personally given by the emperor. How can the Empress Dowager only accept King Jing and's favor and ignore the emperor's intentions? She had already served Empress Dowager Zhou for over 30 years and was the most trusted person by Empress Dowager Zhou's side. She was not as timid as the other maids and was much more casual. Chapter 4:11. Sujin said with a smile, "This servant doesn't dare." Empress Dowager Zhou said in a deep voice, "Go invite King Jing and to see this widow." Reporting to the Empress Dowager, "It is already too late and the palace has already been locked, so this servant cannot leave the palace." Sujin replied, "King Jing is in the palace, and he just finished making the medicine for this widow not long ago. This child's eyes are already red from the smoke, and this widow knows that he hasn't slept for several days, so I asked him to stay in the side palace for a night." This widow didn't want to disturb his rest, but after thinking about this matter, it has to be him. Empress Dowager Zhou said, "The Empress Dowager's meaning is to have King Jing and guard the temple?" Xiaobai's martial arts aren't bad, and he is filial and loyal to this widow. The things this widow orders him to do are always done properly, so I'll have to trouble him for a few days. With him watching over the emperor, this widow can be assured. When Empress Dowager Zhou thought of Mo Chuan, she felt a large headache. What kind of personality her son had, she was very clear on. He was someone who wouldn't give up until he reached his goal. She had seen a small sign and immediately wanted to cut off this ill-fated relationship. But man proposes, heaven disposes. She never would have thought that Mo Chuan would be so bold as to give her a fake decree and personally go out to steal her. This clearly meant that he had fallen in love. The only thing she could do now was separate the two of them to prevent them from doing anything that couldn't be fixed, maintaining the royal family's face. As for what would happen in the future, even she, the Empress Dowager who had been in charge of the harem for many years and solved many problems, could not predict it. Yes, Empress Dowager. Su Jin turned to leave, but was stopped by Empress Dowager Zhou. This widow does not want others to know about this matter. As for what to do, you know what to do. Empress Dowager Zhou took a sip of tea without looking up as she slowly spoke. Su Jin's heart turned cold, and she agreed to leave. Asterisk when Su Jin left the temple, she blew out several giant candles. There were only 2 candles burning in front of the shrine, occasionally releasing 1 or 2 sparks. It was unknown where a cold wind came from, but it even blew out the remaining candles. The night wind was cold, and Qin Ning felt the cold air in her sleep. She couldn't help hugging her arms and giving a shiver. She suddenly felt warmth on her body, like there was a warm piece of clothing gently covering her body. There seemed to be a grass-like scent coming from it. It was very familiar and very intimate. She subconsciously grabbed the clothes tightly, and the corners of her mouth slowly curled up. She was having a sweet dream. On a cushion next to her, a figure in white sat quietly. He had been sitting there for a long time, but his eyes never left her face. He didn't even blink. Even without the candlelight, he could still see the sweet smile on her lips. The corners of his lips couldn't help but curl up. Was she dreaming? It must be a good and beautiful dream to see her smile so sweetly. The person she saw in her dream could be him. Chu Xiaobai stared at her. He hadn't seen her in a long, long time, but in the time he wasn't by her side, he had been thinking of her every day. Her annoyance and happiness, laughter and anger, each expression was vivid as if they were right in front of his eyes. Ninger, I'm back. I can finally see you again. He silently called out in his heart. T. Chapter 412. Qin Ning suddenly flipped over. Chu Xiaobai jumped up in fright and quickly hid into the shadows. Who would have thought that she would not wake up? After flipping over, she continued to sleep. He silently waited for a while before softening his steps. He walked back to her side and covered her with his coat. Looking at her sleeping face, his heart couldn't help feeling disappointed. He really hoped that she would wake up and see him, but he didn't know how to face her when she woke up, because he had broken his promise. Before leaving, he had made a solemn promise that he would come back before the big hunt, but he did not do it. Ning, don't blame me, don't hate me. I didn't break my promise on purpose. Chu Xiaobai thought of the person who made him break his promise. He bitterly gritted his teeth and forcefully waved his fist. Humph, it's best if I don't see him. He sat down again and propped up his chin to look at her, not willing to blink. His eyes were completely red. In order to come back as soon as possible, he had not closed his eyes for 3 days and 3 nights. He had changed horses on the way and finally arrived at the capital city on the day of the flower feast. Because he knew that no matter if she won or lost the bet with his 3rd brother, he would still see her on this day. He really saw her. However, the scene that he saw completely shattered his beautiful dream. So she had saved his 3rd brother 8 years ago. So his 3rd brother had loved the wrong person. So the child in Chun by Yun's stomach was not his 3rd brother's. He saw his 3rd brother confess to her in front of everyone, kneel to her, and admit defeat. He saw her forgive his 3rd brother. At that moment, his heart was completely empty. He did not continue watching and left the royal garden in a daze. No one knew when he came, and no one knew when he left. As for her, She did not know he had come back at all. He returned to the Empress Dowager's peaceful life palace and continued to brew medicine for the Empress Dowager. His heart was like the medicine in the pot, boiling over the fire. His face was calm, but only he knew what kind of torment he was suffering in his heart. He thought that he would never see her again, but he never thought that the Empress Dowager would suddenly summon her into the palace to copy scriptures. She even told him to guard the temple and not let anyone disturb her. Could it be that the heavens saw his pain and was merciful to give him a bit of sweetness? He could finally openly stay by her side and see her all the time. Chu Xiaobai's heart was filled with worry, feeling both sweet and bitter. He really hoped that there was an endless supply of Buddhist scriptures in the temple hall. That way, he could always accompany her and watch over her. However, won't she be tired if she has to copy so many Buddhist scriptures? He couldn't help but mutter to himself as his eyes fell on the small mountain of Buddhist scriptures on the table. How could he help her copy it? He got up gently, lit a candle on the table, and began to copy it stroke by stroke. It wasn't until the sky began to brighten that he tidied up the dozens of pieces of paper he had copied, put down his brush, and blew out the candle. When he turned to look at her, he saw that she was still in her dream. He stretched his slightly sore wrist and prepared to leave before she woke up. Suddenly, his ears twitched. He heard an extremely faint sound coming from the top of the hall. There was someone. Chapter 413. Chu Xiaobai immediately held his breath and hid in the shadows, carefully listening. Then he saw a shadow outside the window, like a bird landing in front of the window. Then the two windows quietly opened inwards. Strange. This was a temple. There was normally no one here. Was this expert here to steal the scriptures? He pondered for a moment and suddenly came to a realization. This person was clearly here for her. Who was it? Could it be third brother? A black-clothed person jumped out of the window and landed without a sound. If Chu Xiaobai did not see it with his own eyes, he would not have noticed that there was an extra person in the temple. Such a powerful qigong. He secretly praised in his heart. Then he saw the black-clothed person look around the room and find Chen Ning sleeping on the mat. His figure flashed, and he charged at her. It's him. Chu Xiaobai found that the black-clothed person in front of him was her personal guard, the brat He that he had fought with twice before. He was suddenly filled with anger. As soon as he saw this black-clothed guard, his cheeks, chest, and buttocks began to ache faintly. In all these years, he, Chu Xiaobai, had never suffered a loss when fighting others. Only this brat He had not only slapped his face, he had also kicked his butt. Humph! He did not like this brat He in the past, and seeing him here, he was even more displeased. This was the royal palace, his home ground. He had to ruthlessly teach this brat He a lesson. And Mo Chuan did not stop when he suddenly felt a strange feeling coming from behind him. There was killing intent. He did not look back as his feet touched the ground, and he flew forward. He was using the cold pond crane shadow, easily dodging the sneak attack from the person behind him. When he landed, he was already facing Chu Xiaobai. Xiaobai, why are you here? He knit his brows and asked without any hesitation. He never would have thought that the person hiding in the dark would be Chu Xiaobai. But it was a good thing he was wearing a human skin mask. Chu Xiaobai couldn't help being stunned, feeling that his tone was very familiar. Then he saw that unfamiliar face and coldly said, "Are you even worthy of calling me Xiaobai? What are you doing here? She is my third brother's princess, so stop bothering her in the future. She doesn't need a bodyguard like you anymore." Because he was afraid of waking Chen Ning, his voice was very low, but Mo Chuan could still hear it clearly. "My third brother's princess." These words were very harsh. "She is my woman, and I'm here to see my woman. What does that have to do with you?" He tightened his throat and spoke in a voice even colder than Chu Xiaobai's. "Your woman." Chu Xiaobai's face instantly turned white before turning red. Then he raised his fist at him. "Brat He, you shameless brat. When did she become your woman? If you talk nonsense again, I'll knock out all your teeth." Mo Chuan raised his chin and revealed an arrogant look. "Defeated opponent. Can you beat me? It's hard to say who will knock out whose teeth." The anger in his heart was even stronger than Chu Xiaobai's. He saw that Chun Ning was sleeping soundly with a white robe covering her body. He could tell that it was Chu Xiaobai's with a single glance, and when he came in, Chu Xiaobai must have already been there. Why was he here? Did he stay here the whole night? Would he take advantage of her while she was asleep to take advantage of her? Yes, he definitely would. He had personally seen Chu Xiaobai break into her room at night and secretly kiss her while she was asleep. Chapter 414. As for why Chu Xiaobai was here, he didn't even need to think to know that it was Empress Dowager Zhou's arrangement. Truly a confused Empress Dowager. He really wanted to curse out loud. In order to guard against a tiger like him, she sent a wolf to guard the sheep. Wasn't this sending the sheep to the wolf's mouth? Brat, hey, if you have the skills, then don't waste your words. Whether you win or lose, we'll fight. Do you dare fight me alone? Chu Xiaobai was angered by Mo Chuan's cold and arrogant tone. Although he knew he was no match, he couldn't lose this anger. I'm not here to fight with you. If you want to fight, then let's find another time. Mo Chuan coldly said. He knew that the sky was about to brighten, and he would have morning court after dawn, so he didn't have time to teach Chu Xiaobai a lesson. All right, then let's do it tonight at the peak of the Imperial City. Do you dare? It's a deal. Mo Chuan did not have the patience to speak anymore. He gently placed the box in his hand beside Chun Ning and looked at her deeply. Then he jumped out the window and disappeared in a flash. Chu Xiaobai never thought that he would leave like this. If it wasn't for him being afraid of waking Chun Ning, he would not have let Mo Chuan leave so easily. He could come and go as he pleased. Did he really think that the guards of the Imperial Palace were all trash? Shameless. Shameless. Chu Xiaobai angrily cursed in the direction Mo Chuan disappeared. When he thought of Mo Chuan's words of "She is my woman," his face turned red with anger. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen someone more shameless than him. He decided that because of these words, he would ruthlessly teach this shameless brat a lesson. Being angry was being angry, but he still knew his own limits. In terms of martial arts, Chu Xiaobai knew that he was still lacking compared to the other side. If they really fought, perhaps the one who would be taught a lesson would be him. But who said that teaching a lesson had to be done in a fair and square fight? His eyes turned, and he suddenly thought of a good thing. Hey, brat, just wait and see what it feels like to be blown up. He curled his lips into a proud smile. Then he looked over and saw the box that Mo Chuan had placed beside Chun Ning. What did this brat bring? Chun Ning was still asleep. He took out the box and opened it to look, finding that it was actually a box full of paper. Each page was neatly folded and filled with densely packed words. The ink on the top page was still wet. Buddhist scriptures. This brat is also like me, copying all these scriptures. Is to say to hey. Chu Xiaobai gave a snort and impolitely took out all the scriptures Mo Chuan had copied, placing them together with his own. He didn't want to leave for Chun, but he as he Chun for Chun to be for him for her, for him. He too, for Chun for Chun, to be for to not to leave is he too. Yang Chun for him, he too for him. To say. Chun said to say to Chun to say. Ning for he to say, he sat beside Chun to say. He teat sit to say. Chun, and to lead to say for him. He to say Chun. He suddenly, he to for Chun for to he to Chun. Chun he. Sit, he for him. She suddenly woke up, and when she opened her eyes, she saw Chu Xiaobai. He was smiling and holding a strand of her hair in his hand. He was currently sweeping it across her nose. Chapter 415. Hi, lazy girl. If you don't wake up, I'll draw a turtle on your face. It was the same familiar handsome face, the same familiar smile, and the same familiar voice. It was Xiaobai. He was back. Chun Ning rubbed her eyes and found that she really wasn't dreaming. She quickly crawled up and was filled with surprise and joy. Xiaobai, is it really you? She almost did not dare believe it. She reached out to pinch Chu Xiaobai's cheek and forcefully pinched it twice. Xiaobai, am I dreaming? Why don't I feel any pain at all? Pain. Chu Xiao grimaced in pain, but he did not dodge her hand. Of course you're not dreaming, because you're pinching my face. Of course he knew that she was doing it on purpose. His lips curled up, and his beautiful black eyes were filled with a smile. She was still the same familiar face. She was not angry at him. He was instantly filled with high spirits, and a flower bloomed in his heart. Puchi. Chunning smiled and let go of her hand. She flicked his forehead. Why are you disturbing a person's sleep so early in the morning? If you dare disturb me while I'm sleeping again, I'll show you. She suddenly found that although he was in high spirits, his eyes were completely red. She asked in a concerned voice, Xiaobai, have you not slept in several days? Your eyes are as red as a rabbit's. When did you come back? Why are you here? Chu Xiaobai saw the concern on her face, and his heart felt warm. But he said in an uncaring voice, I haven't slept in several days. It doesn't matter. I'm not tired at all. It's the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager told me to stay here and copy scriptures with you. Empress Dowager? Chen Ning understood once she heard this. Empress Dowager Zhou was worried that Su Jin couldn't stop the emperor, so she sent Chu Xiaobai to watch over her. She really put a lot of thought into this. She did not say anything and just said with a faint smile, Where have you been these past few days? Chu Xiaobai's face turned red, and he scratched his head for a while before saying in a hesitant voice, Ning, I broke my promise. I didn't come back in time for the big hunt. Are you angry at me? Do I look like someone who gets angry randomly? You didn't come back in time. That means you had something important to do. So how could I blame you? Did you finish your task? Did you come to see me as soon as you came back? Little Bai, look at your rabbit eyes. Hurry up and go to sleep. Chen Ning gave him a half-truth and half-lie. The stone in Chu Xiaobai's heart fell down. His lips curled into a smile, and his face began to glow. I'll leave when Su Jin arrives. She'll accompany you during the day and at night. I'll accompany you. He was all smiles. Empress Zhou, Ti say Su when she come back. Su ti I Su ti. I Ti Xiao was as he. Because once she returned to the King Ding Yuan Palace, he would no longer have a reason to see her. Single quote by Tai Ning question mark T. Ti Chun Shan Shan. Chun Ti Chun. Chun I. Chun. Ti. Chun. Chun. Up. Protect me. Chun Ning blinked. Chapter 416. After pausing for a bit, he said with a laugh, I am the respected King Jingyan, but the Empress Dowager made me personally protect you, so it can be seen how important you are. Ning-er, you can be assured, as long as I am here, even a fly won't be able to come in and harm you. He suddenly thought of the black clothed guard that silently entered the temple and instantly felt embarrassed. It was a good thing she was asleep and didn't know. After Chen Ning heard this, she couldn't help admiring the reason Empress Dowager Zhou came up with. It really was reasonable and flawless. She said with a faint smile, the Empress Dowager's kindness to me. It really is as high as the heavens and as deep as the earth. Only like this, I'll have to trouble you. Ning, you know that I'm willing to do anything for you. I just want to see you every day. Even if you reconcile with my third brother, you won't ignore me, right? Chu Xiaobai stared at her. That's right. Only when Chu Xiaoyang was mentioned, his heart filled with a sour feeling and the smile on his face disappeared. Chen Ning suddenly thought of that unbearable scene and felt like she had eaten a fly. Xiaobai, in front of me in the future, don't mention this person or his name again. I don't want to hear it. Her pretty face was ice cold. She was like a spring breeze that was like a flower, but in the blink of an eye, she had turned into a layer of ice and snow. Chu Xiaobai's heart skipped a beat. A question was about to come out of his mouth, but he swallowed it back down. He wanted to ask why, but then he thought about it. No matter what, it was definitely his third brother that made her unhappy. As long as she was angry, it must be his third brother's fault. He did not know what had happened in the carriage and did not know that Mo Chuan had faked a decree to bring her back to the palace. This matter was related to the royal family's face, so Empress Dowager Zhou had kept this matter secret. There were only a few people in the palace that knew about it. Hey, little white, did you copy all these Buddhist scriptures? Chen Ning found that there was a pile of scriptures on the table. Counting them, there were several dozen of them, making her feel pleasantly surprised. Yes, I copied them. They were all copied by me. Chu Xiaobai swallowed his saliva and straightened his neck. Not only did he not feel guilty, he even hoped that Brat He knew about it and angered him to death. No wonder your eyes are all red. Copying this much, you must have spent the entire night copying it, right? Xiaobai, 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 Xiaobai Li, and Xiaobai. Copying scriptures was a boring thing. She didn't like it. But Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't let her go in a short period of time, so she could just stay here for a while. This temple was quiet and tranquil. Copying a few scriptures was also good for her mind. Xiao Xiao Bai Tian, Xiao Chun, Xiao Xiao Xiao, Xiao 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 Xiao, but Xiao Xiao Chun. Xiao Xiao Bai Xiao Xiao, Xiao said Chi Yu Xiao written. Chu Xiao Bai wrote in the hairpin flower small regular script, which was very neat, with each word looking like it was carved. Mo Chuan wrote in the ancient script, which was majestic and smooth like flowing water, with each stroke penetrating the paper. The two of them used their usual handwriting, but their styles were different, so it could be seen with a single glance. About that, Chu Xiaobai never thought that he would be caught on the spot. His handsome face turned slightly red, and he suddenly had an idea. Chapter 417. Xiaobai, you're really amazing. Even the words written with your left hand look so good. Chen Ning smiled as she praised him. Ning, can you help me make a few thunderbolt eggs? Chu Xiaobai suddenly said. He thought of his fight with Mo Chuan tonight and couldn't help thinking of the thunderbolt eggs Chen Ning mentioned. This kind of powerful hidden weapon that couldn't kill people was exactly what he needed. Thunderbolt eggs? What do you want that for? Chen Ning's eyes opened wide. I want to blow that Brat He to the point where he doesn't even have hair, Chu Xiaobai said in his heart. But he knew that if he told the truth, Chen Ning would not agree. So he said, I want to use it to deal with an annoying person. His expression was strange, and Chen Ning was even more suspicious. She suddenly thought of something. You wouldn't want to use the thunderbolt eggs to blow up Chu Xiaoyang, right? All right, I'll give you as many as you want. Help me prepare the materials, and I'll immediately start making them. Chen Ning immediately agreed in a very happy manner. Chu Xiaobai revealed a smile and said, What materials do you need? Chen Ning wanted to pick up the pen, but when she thought of her earthworm-like ugly words, she gave up on that thought. I want eggs and firecrackers, the more the better. She wanted to make a few more thunderbolt eggs this time. Chu Xiaoyang, just you wait. All right, I'll go right away. Chu Xiaobai heard Su Jin's footsteps coming closer and closer. He immediately put on his robe and walked over to open the door. This one greets King Jing, and Su Jin quickly bowed down. No need for formalities, he said in an indifferent voice. Facing Su Jin, his tone was completely different from when he spoke to Chen Ning. It was like he was a completely different person. His white robe was blown up by the wind, and it seemed like it was going to fly. The morning sun shined down on his picturesque face, releasing a faint golden glow. When the maids cleaning the courtyard saw this, they couldn't help blushing and their hearts skipping a beat. Su Jin also secretly nodded. Not only did King Jing and have a good temperament and good martial arts, his appearance was even better than a person from a painting. Even compared to husband Yi, he was not inferior at all. Only she didn't know which family's daughter would have the fortune to marry King Jing and, as his princess, she would be the most envious girl in the world. Aunt Su Jin, the princess, has copied scriptures all night and is currently resting. This king still has things to do, so Aunt, please take care of the princess. She can do whatever she wants. The Empress Dowager has said that it is fine as long as she doesn't leave the peaceful life palace. He was very elegant, but his words could not be rejected. Yes, this servant will remember. Su Jin quickly agreed. Chu Xiaobai's words made her secretly click her tongue. She had the same thoughts as Empress Dowager Zhou, thinking that having King Jing and guard the temple would make him feel wronged. Who would have thought that not only would he agree, he would also have a good relationship with the Dingyuan princess? But thinking about it, King Jing and King Dingyuan were blood-related brothers, and the Dingyuan princess was his sister-in-law, so naturally they would be closer than normal people. Su 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 Ning, Su Su Xiao Su Su, King Princess Consort, you actually copied so many Buddhist scriptures. Did you not sleep the entire night? Seeing all these scriptures, Su Jin's impression of Chun Ning increased by a lot. Seeing all these scriptures, Su Jin's good impression of Chun Ning increased by quite a bit. For a diligent and obedient girl like this, there was no one who wouldn't like them. Chapter 4:18. I never thought that the princess consort's writing would be this beautiful. This flower hairpin small script is the Empress Dowager's favorite, so this servant wants to give it to the Empress Dowager to see. After the Empress Dowager sees it, she will definitely praise the princess consort. Her face was filled with a smile. All right, take it. Chun Ning nodded. She thought that Xiao Bai knew what the Empress Dowager liked, so he chose the flower hairpin small script. As for the other script, although Xiao Bai said that he used his left hand to write it, but who was he trying to fool? She did not believe it. It must have been Mo Chuan. Su Jin held the stack of manuscripts as she left with a smile. When she came back, her attitude towards Chun Ning was much more intimate than before. It was clear that after Empress Dowager Zhou saw the scriptures, her heart was filled with joy. The Empress Dowager said that the princess consort has been very tired copying the scriptures for an entire night. If the princess consort is willing, you can go to the garden to enjoy the flowers and drink some tea. Chun Ning's eyes lit up. Did she agree to let her out? Of course I'm willing. Only a fool would be unwilling, but she was not a fool. Leaving the temple, a gust of fresh air blew into her face. Chun Ning took a deep breath and looked around. She saw a large flower garden filled with lush greenery, with many strange flowers growing here. It was currently the flowering season, and all the flowers were blooming beautifully in the morning light. The Empress Dowager likes flowers and has sent people to search for many strange flowers. There are many flowers that this servant doesn't know the names of. Does the princess consort recognize them? Chun Ning walked through the flowers and saw that the petals were sparkling with dew. The air was filled with the sweet fragrance of the flowers, making people feel relaxed. Su Jin walked beside her with a smile on her face. I'm just casually saying it. If I'm wrong, Aunt can't laugh at me. Chun Ning casually walked. While walking, she pointed at the flowers beside her, casually saying the names of the flowers. Even the habits and flowering period of the flowers were casually mentioned. There were many pictures and information about flowers in her mind. Although she had never seen a real flower before, when she compared them, she rarely made a mistake. The princess consort, you can't be more correct. This servant admires you. Su Jin's chin almost fell off hearing this. She believed that even a flower lover like Empress Dowager Zhou did not know half of Chun Ning's knowledge. It was no wonder the emperor would treat her differently. This princess consort was not a brainless embroidered pillow with a face. But I've read them in books. This is the first time I've seen these flowers. Chun Ning honestly said. Suddenly, she stopped in her tracks. Her beautiful eyebrows gently furrowed as her gaze fell upon a white flower in front of her. It was a flower the size of a fist. Its petals were as white as snow, stacked in layers. At the same time, it exuded an intoxicating sweet smell. She moved closer to the petals and gently sniffed. She felt the fragrance penetrate her lungs, and even her mind became a little clearer. This is the Empress Dowager's favorite flower. It's called the spring jade. It will bloom all year round, and the flowers that bloom are this beautiful and fragrant. The Empress Dowager will come to take a look every day, and the Empress Dowager often says that smelling this flower is very comfortable. Does the princess consort also like this flower? Aunt Su Jin, does the Empress Dowager suffer from insomnia, and her condition is not light? She suddenly asked. Aunt Su Jin, does the Empress Dowager suffer from insomnia, and her condition is not light? She suddenly asked. Chapter 4:19. Empress Dowager Zhou was sick all year round, and the most important illness was her insomnia. She would not be able to sleep for several days and nights. But it was a good thing that King Jing and had brought medicine this time, allowing the Empress Dowager to have a good night's sleep, making her feel much better. Only in the royal family, the illnesses of the Empress Dowager and the Emperor were only known by the doctors in charge. Moreover, they would keep the illness a secret, not letting it leak out. So for Empress Dowager Zhou's insomnia, the number of people in the royal palace could be counted on one hand. And of course I know. Chenning nodded without batting an eyelid. She looked over the flower a few times. She suddenly took a step forward and forcefully pulled at the stem, actually pulling out the spring jade by the roots. Princess Consort. Su Jin was shocked. She quickly tried to stop her, but it was too late. Her face turned white from fright as she stared at Chenning. The princess consort had caused a large disaster this time. This. If the Empress Dowager knew that her most beloved flower had been destroyed, this is a crime punishable by death, she said in a trembling voice. She couldn't help feeling sorry for Chenning in her heart. Because she had copied scriptures all night, the Empress Dowager had a bit of compassion for her, but in the blink of an eye, she had caused a large disaster. Aunt Su Jin, this flower was pulled out by me, and this disaster was caused by me. It has nothing to do with you. If the Empress Dowager wants to punish someone, then punish me. If you want to behead someone, then behead me. Chenning. Chenning acted like nothing was wrong as she comforted Su Jin. She looked at the spring jade in her hand. The roots that had been pulled out of the ground were very long and were a deep purple color. There was also a faint stench coming from it. No one would have thought that the spring jade's beautiful and fragrant flower would actually have a stench when it was buried in the ground. Su Jin was stunned, not knowing what to do. She wasn't the only one here. There were several maids that saw this as well. Even if she wanted to hide it for Chenning, she couldn't do it. Dingyuan Princess, you really are bold. You destroyed this widow's favorite flower. Do you think it's as easy as beheading you? Empress Dowager Zhou appeared behind the two of them with her walking stick, speaking in a cold voice. Empress Dowager, please forgive me. Su Jin was shocked and hurriedly bowed. Su Jin, stand up. This matter has nothing to do with you. Dingyuan Princess, you should give this widow an explanation, otherwise this widow. Empress Dowager Zhou did not finish, but her cold voice made Dowager Zhou tremble. In the depths of the palace, there were 100 ways to make a person die in unbearable pain, and they were far more terrifying than being beheaded. Empress Dowager, this concubine, just asked Aunt Su Jin. You often feel restless at night, and your phoenix body is sick, so this concubine found the culprit that caused Empress Dowager's illness. It is this spring jade. Chenning calmly kneeled down. She held the spring jade in her hands and raised it up high. Ning Qing said, "Two, old, Dowager," Chen Qing said. Empress Dowager and old, and to say. Ding Dowager, to Dowager, Dowager you to say. Actually, King Dowager Zhou to you Dowager Su. Dowager Ning and said. Dowager and said. The King Dowager said, Dowager. Su Jin saw Empress Dowager Zhou's body trembling, not knowing if it was from anger or illness. She quickly pulled out a chair and helped Empress Dowager Zhou sit down. Chapter 420. So what if it is? Empress Dowager Zhou's cane heavily slammed down as she snapped. She liked the spring jade because of this reason. Every time she couldn't sleep or had a splitting headache, as long as she smelled the fragrance of the spring jade, it would be much better. She never thought that this flower that she treasured would be destroyed by this little girl. How could she not be filled with hatred? This minister's concubine has read about this spring jade in a book before. The book said that this flower blooms all year round, and its fragrance has a refreshing effect, but it can't be smelled for too long, otherwise it will be harmful. If one smells this flower for a long time, they will unknowingly be poisoned. The symptoms of being poisoned is that it will make it hard for people to sleep, making it seem like they are suffering from insomnia. If it isn't detoxified in time, it is possible that, Chenning looked up at Empress Dowager Zhou and did not continue. How could Empress Dowager Zhou not understand her meaning? She coldly said, "We'll die, right?" Chenning lowered her head and did not reply. giving her a silent agreement. Very good. What you say makes sense. Since you said it was from a book, then the book must have mentioned how to detoxify it, right? Empress Dowager Zhou revealed an angry smile. How could one be poisoned from smelling a flower in this world? This was simply ridiculous. So she did not believe Chun Ning's words at all. Not a single word. It was all sophistry. If you can't say how to detoxify it, then don't blame this widow for not giving General Chen any face. Empress Dowager Zhou's face sunk as her heart was filled with killing intent. Chun Ning nodded. That's right, there's indeed a way to detoxify it. You just need to boil the roots of this flower and the poison will be detoxified. It's that simple. Not only did Empress Dowager Zhou not believe it, even Su Jin did not believe it. If Empress Dowager Zhou was really poisoned, why couldn't even the most experienced and most skilled doctor in the yard see through it? As for the detoxification method, Chen Ning spoke of, it was as simple as child's play. Empress Dowager, you must have taken a sleeping pill last night, but you must have had nightmares. Although you slept all the way until dawn, you still feel tired and sleepy. I wonder if what this minister's concubine said is true? Chen Ning calmly said. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart turned cold. She was silent for a while before slowly saying, That's right. Su Jin couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. Empress Dowager, you've been poisoned by a flower, so the medicine you've taken can only cure the symptoms and not the root. If you want to cure it, you can only use this spring jade's root to decoct the antidote. Empress Dowager, you might as well try it. If there is no effect after taking it, then this minister's concubine's head is here and the Empress Dowager can cut it off at any time. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly said, Who knows if the spring jade's roots are poisonous or not? You want to use this method to poison this widow, right? Chen Ning nodded. The Empress Dowager is right. The spring jade's roots are very poisonous. If a normal person eats it, their body will twitch and they will die from heart palpitations. Dowager. Su Empress Dowager. Su couldn't help calling out. You see what she was that? Wang was that what Dowager Zhou said? Dowager's Jade King, Su. But why did she what is what? Emperor Dowager Long, as she directly said this? Empress Dowager Zhou's face suddenly sunk, and she hit the ground with her cane. When she was prepared to speak, she heard Chen Ning say again. Chapter 421. Fight Poison with Poison. Empress Dowager Zhou pondered for a bit before slightly looking down at Chen Ning. This was the first time she felt that her words weren't without reason. However, should he really believe the words of this lass and drink the water boil from the roots of the spring jade, which contained a deadly poison? What if everything this lass said was a lie? Then wouldn't he die from being poisoned? Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't make up her mind. Mother, your son believes Ning Er's words are all true. A clear voice like spring water hitting stone suddenly came from the door. A bright yellow slender figure walked in with steady steps. Mo Chuan looked very handsome under the sunlight. He had the aura of an emperor that people couldn't look at. When he appeared, all the maids and eunuchs knelt down, not daring to even breathe loudly. Your son greets mother and greets mother. Mo Chuan respectfully greeted Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at him and said in a soft, sarcastic voice, Why does the emperor have the time to greet this widow today? Aren't you busy with court matters? Or is there something in this widow's peaceful life palace that attracted the emperor, making you rush over as soon as the court session ended? Mo Chuan looked at Chen Ning and said without a blush on his face, Mother is right. Your son likes the flowers in mother's yard and can't see them anywhere else, so your son will come to greet mother from time to time and admire the flowers. Chen Ning lowered her head and couldn't help secretly gritting her teeth. This was something the emperor should say. He didn't think it was disgusting at all. Empress Dowager Zhou felt the hairs on her arms stand up as she looked at Mo Chuan with a look of disbelief. She also suspected that she was looking at a fake son, a fake emperor. Wasn't the emperor always silent? What kind of medicine did he take today? Everyone leave. Mo Chuan's cold eyes swept over them. The maids and eunuchs quickly left. Su Jin knew that the emperor had a secret matter to report to the Empress Dowager, so she also left with everyone else. There was only Empress Dowager Zhou, Imo Chuan, and Chen Ning left in the large yard. Emperor, what do you mean by this? Empress Dowager Zhou sat in her chair and calmly asked, Mother, your son has heard everything Ning said just now. Your son believes that Ning is not lying, so I asked Mother to believe Ning Imo Chuan looked at Empress Dowager Zhou. Why should this widow believe her just because you believe her? Ning is that something you should say? Emperor, remember your identity and remember her identity. Empress Dowager Zhou angrily glared at Imo Chuan. Mother, don't be angry. Speaking of which, you've been suffering from insomnia for a year now, right? Imo Chuan looked at the spring jade in Chun Ning's hand and revealed a look of deep thought. If your son remembers correctly, it has been a year since the spring jade first bloomed. Mother began to feel restless, and it happened not long after the spring jade bloomed. Mother, please think back, isn't that right? Empress Dowager Zhou thought about it, and it really was like this, so what if it is, perhaps it was just a coincidence? Why are you so sure that this widow was poisoned? There were many people in this widow's peaceful life palace, so why was no one else poisoned, and only this widow was poisoned? Emperor, tell me, what is the reason for this? If you don't know, then let the Ding Yuan princess explain it to you. Imo Chuan couldn't answer her question. Chapter 422. Chen Ning calmly replied, Empress Dowager, this minister's concubine has just said that this flower needs to be smelled for a long time before it will be poisoned. Because the Empress Dowager loves this flower, she will always stay in front of it for a while. Aunt Su Jin said that you come to see the spring jade almost every day, and other people know that this flower is the Empress Dowager's favorite. So they stay far away from it, not daring to approach it. So naturally they won't be poisoned. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she fell into deep thought again. She also somewhat believed Chen Ning's words in her heart. Mother, your son is willing to guarantee for Ning Your son believes that the cure she says will be effective. Ning is not someone who randomly says things. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly looked at him and said in a cold voice, Emperor, do you believe her words and want this widow to drink the water made from the spring jade's roots? Do you know that there is poison in that water? Your son knows. If Mother uses it, something happens to you, then this minister is willing to die. Imo Chuan raised his dragon robe and kneeled in front of Empress Dowager Zhou with a firm expression. Presumptuous. Empress Dowager Zhou's expression was filled with rage. Have you been bewitched by this woman? Even saying this kind of thing. Why would you believe her words? Imo Chuan's expression turned serious as he said in a deep voice, Mother, do you remember where the spring jade seeds came from? What do you mean? Empress Dowager Zhou was stunned like she thought of something. Her expression turned from anger to deep thought. You're saying? She suddenly understood why the emperor had sent everyone away. Could it be that there were also spies planted in her peaceful life palace? She felt a chill run down her spine, and she couldn't help but shiver. Mother, the wind in the yard is strong. Let's talk in the room. Imo Chuan stood up and said in a considerate voice. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help glaring at Imo Chuan, feeling a bit uncomfortable in her heart. Are you worried about this widow's body, or are you worried about the girl kneeling on the ground? Your son is of course worried about Mother. Imo Chuan slowly supported Empress Dowager Zhou into the room. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a knowing snort. Girl, you come in as well. Imo Chuan and Empress Dowager Zhou were asking and answering like they were playing riddles, but Chen Ning was smart, and she could already guess what was going on. She knew that this was a secret matter of the royal family, and the less she knew, the better. She wanted to wait for the two of them to enter the room before sneaking away. Who would have thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would guess what she was thinking and call her out? She gave a bitter smile and followed Empress Chuan into Empress Dowager Zhou's room. Imo Chuan helped Empress Dowager Zhou sit on the couch and personally took out a pillow for Empress Dowager Zhou to lean on before sitting down beside her. Ning, her mother is tired. Ning, Ning, Dowager Zhou, and Ling Ning, Dowager King Dowager Chun. No need. The Ding Yuan princess has a noble status. How could this widow dare mistreat her? Empress Dowager Zhou waved her hand and pointed at the stool on the side. Sit down first. Ning sat down. After. Douse. She couldn't help ridiculing in her heart. There were too many rules in the royal family. Always kneeling down. No wonder little Swallow would come up with easy kneeling. But in front of Empress Dowager Zhou, she still had to maintain a dignified demeanor. Chapter 423. I dare use my head to guarantee it, but I don't know if the Empress Dowager dares to drink it. Chen Ning said with a faint smile. How arrogant! How could Empress Dowager Zhou not know that they were acting? But she couldn't take it. She said in a deep voice, Ding Yuan princess, go and brew medicine for this widow. This widow will immediately drink it for you. Yes, Empress Dowager. Chen Ning let out a sigh of relief. She took the spring jade and left the room, closing the door behind her. She knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was still worried about her, so she deliberately sent her away. She wasn't willing to get involved in this mess, so she was happy that she didn't know. Very quickly, she prepared a bowl of medicine made from the roots of the spring jade in the small kitchen on the side. The water was a deep purple color, and it had a faint fishy smell to it. Chen Ning waited for a while. She estimated that the mother and son should have finished talking about the secret matters before heading to Empress Dowager Zhou's room with the bowl of medicine. When she reached the door was open from the inside. Is the medicine done? Mo Chuan very naturally took the bowl of medicine from her hands and looked at her cheeks that were slightly red from being baked by the stove. It's been hard on you. Chen Ning did not even have time to speak before Empress Dowager Zhou gave a dissatisfied sound. Emperor, is it hard to brew a bowl of medicine for this widow? This widow gave birth to you. Why don't you ask this widow if it's hard or not? Chen Ning couldn't help lowering her head and curling her lips. She found that Empress Dowager Zhou was not scary at all. Rather, she was very interesting. Although her tone was harsh to her son, and she had an angry expression on her face, her eyes were warm. This was a kind of mother's love for her son from the bottom of her heart, making her seem very lively. Mo Chuan placed the bowl of medicine in front of Empress Dowager Zhou's lips with a faint smile. Your son will feed mother this medicine. Humph, I don't dare trouble the emperor. This widow will drink it myself. Empress Dowager Zhou raised the bowl of medicine and drank it all in one gulp. She placed the bowl of medicine to the side and coldly looked at Mo Chuan. If this widow dies from the poison, you can do whatever you want, right? Emperor, she wanted to scold Mo Chuan with a few words, but her brows suddenly knit together and she revealed a look of pain. What's wrong with mother? Mo Chuan instantly revealed a nervous expression. Although he believed that Chen Ning would not harm Empress Dowager Zhou, he was worried that Empress Dowager Zhou would feel uncomfortable after taking the medicine. I'm not feeling well. Emperor, all of you get out, get out. Empress Dowager Zhou waved her hand and her pale face turned slightly red. Mo Chuan was even more worried. Your son will immediately summon the doctor. Empress Dowager Zhou was already not willing to say another word. Her forehead was covered in sweat as she quickly got off the bed and walked to the washroom on the side, not even using her cane. We'll go and wait. Of course, Chen Ning knew why Empress Dowager Zhou had an awkward expression and was in a hurry. She pulled Mo Chuan's sleeve, and the two of them left the room. Ning, Ning, Ning Ning will Dowager teat. Well, it should be fine. The Empress Dowager should be detoxifying. Chen Ning vaguely replied. Detoxify. Mo Chuan was stunned, but he immediately understood what it meant. His lips moved, and he almost couldn't hold back his laughter. Chapter 424. Chen Ning shook her head and said, That's not right. Although the spring jade's fragrance will slowly poison people, its fragrance is still a kind of herb. It can clear one's mind and make one feel refreshed. However, Someone had taken advantage of the unknown characteristics of the flower and used it as a tool to kill. The person who had sent the flower was the one with the real intention to kill. It's a good thing the Empress Dowager is already on guard. After taking the flower root water, her phoenix body will be fine. Mo Chuan couldn't help staring at her. You eavesdropped on me talking to the Empress Dowager? Otherwise, how could she guess the content right away? He had used his internal energy to check his surroundings, and there was clearly no one around. She didn't know martial arts, so if she was eavesdropping, it was impossible for him not to notice it. Isn't this obvious? Why would I need to eavesdrop to find out? But I really don't know anything. I don't want to know who sent the flower to poison the Empress Dowager. This kind of secret matter, if I know too much, my head will move sooner or later. Chun Ning smiled as she stuck out her tongue. It was you who saved this widow, so you don't need to move your head for now. Empress Dowager Zhou's voice came from the door. After she had excreted, her entire body was filled with energy. Even if the doctor didn't come, she knew that the root water was a good antidote. Her feelings towards Chun Ning were very complicated. Although she didn't appreciate it, she didn't hate and reject her like before. Mother, your complexion is much better. Your son was really worried. Mo Chuan saw that the faint dark circles around Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes had disappeared and her originally yellow face had become a bit rosier. His heart was filled with joy. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded to Chun Ning. Young Miss Chun, this widow is a person who distinguishes between gratitude and grudges. You save this widow. What reward do you want? Mo Chuan's heart skipped a beat. When he wanted to speak, Empress Dowager Zhou coldly looked at him. As for your wishful thinking, it's best if you don't mention it. This widow will not agree even if you mention it. Young Miss Chun, you are a smart person, so tell me, what do you want? Empress Dowager Zhou had no expression as she coldly stared at Chun Ning. Chun Ning bit her lips. She wanted to say that she didn't want anything. She did not covet any reward at all. What she wanted was a piece of paper and a letter of separation. But Empress Dowager Zhou had already said this, so she couldn't say anything. She turned her eyes and bowed down to Empress Dowager Zhou. Then this minister's daughter will make a bold request. If the Empress Dowager can agree, then this minister's daughter will be rewarded. Tell me. Empress Dowager Zhou declined. This minister's daughter wants to stay in the temple to copy scriptures for the Empress Dowager. I wonder if the Empress Dowager is willing to agree to this minister's daughter's request. Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan were both shocked. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou of Empress Zhou and Mo was. She found that she could not understand this young girl. Could it be that she wanted to stay in her peaceful life palace and see the emperor every day? Of Chun, this minister's daughter is willing. Chun Ning replied without any hesitation. Since it's like this, then you can stay. You can leave first. This widow still has things to say to the emperor. Empress Dowager Zhou gently waved her hand. Chun Ning did not look at Mo Chuan. She knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was most worried about her being related to Mo Chuan, so she had to keep her distance from him. Chapter 425. Reporting to the Empress Dowager, King Ding Yuan has come to see the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan had just said a few words when a maid came in to report. Mo Chuan's face instantly sunk. Thinking of Chun Ning's torn clothes last night and the strangulation marks on her neck, he tightly clenched his fists and his eyes filled with rage. Very good. He came at the right time. He wanted to teach this bastard a lesson, but he had delivered himself to his door. Empress Dowager Zhou saw his expression, and her face was much calmer than Mo Chuan's. Emperor, please leave for a bit. Mother, your son has something to say to him, Mo Chuan said in a deep voice. He wanted to use his fist to talk. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a cold laugh. What do you want to say to him? You want to tell him that you are the respected emperor and you don't want all the women in the world, but you want his princess? Or do you want to tell him that you are prepared to force him to divorce his wife? Emperor, you don't care about your reputation, but this widow will not allow you to do something so shameless as to throw away the face of our ancestors. Then this minister won't be the emperor. Mo Chuan said without any hesitation. This widow worked hard to put you on the throne, and you won't be the emperor just because you say so? Empress Dowager Zhou pointed at him in disappointment. For a woman, you don't even want the throne? This widow is telling you. You could be the emperor even if you don't want to. If you don't dare be the emperor, this widow will immediately give the order for that woman to die. Mo Chuan's body turned cold. He knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was a man of her word. She wasn't just trying to scare him. You can't keep your composure. Could it be that you have forgotten everything this widow has taught you in the past? You have to plan before you take action. Emperor, think about this widow's words. Now go in for this widow. Empress Dowager Zhou pointed at the room and said in a sharp voice, plan before you take action. Empress Dowager Zhou clearly had a deeper meaning in her words. Mo Chuan looked at Empress Dowager Zhou, and his eyes sparkled like he understood something. Then he turned around and walked into the room with large steps. Empress Dowager Zhou calmed her anger, and her face returned to a calm expression. Invite King Dingyuan in, she ordered in a deep voice. Chu Xiaoyang slowly walked into the peaceful life palace. He hadn't slept all night and looked haggard. He was completely different from his usual handsome and high-spirited self. Anger, hatred, disappointment, anxiety, and all sorts of other emotions were buried deep in his heart. He immediately saw Empress Dowager Zhou sitting in the yard enjoying tea and flowers. Imperial Grandmother, Xiaoyang has done something wrong. I asked the Empress Dowager to punish your grandson. He kneeled down in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou looked up when she heard this. When she saw Chu Xiaoyang in front of her, she couldn't help being surprised. Xiaoyang, what happened to you? She was not the biological grandmother of Chu Xiaoyang and Chu Xiaobai, but according to seniority, Chu Xiaoyang was her grandson. In public, Chu Xiaoyang always called her the Empress Dowager. What shocked her was not the name, but rather Chu Xiaoyang's appearance. Chu Xiaoyang's upper body was bare, revealing his light wheat-colored skin. There was a bundle of firewood tied to his back, and his eye sockets were deep red. Empress Dowager Zhou looked over and almost didn't recognize him. Chapter 426. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned stiff. Royal Grandmother, Xiaoyang is here to ask for forgiveness. I ask Royal Grandmother to use this bundle of firewood to fiercely beat this grandson. Empress Dowager Zhou said, what crime did you commit that this widow doesn't know? Xiaoyang, stand up and speak. Someone, quickly help King Dingyuan up and give him a seat. Chu Xiaoyang kneeled on the ground without moving. He lowered his head and said, if Royal Grandmother doesn't punish me, Xiaoyang won't get up. All right, then tell me, what crime did you commit for this widow to punish? Chu Xiaoyang's face was filled with embarrassment as he said in a low voice, Xiaoyang drank too much yesterday and had thoughts about the princess on the way back, almost taking her life. It was a good thing the Empress Dowager summoned Ning to the palace, so this grandson didn't make a big mistake. Xiaoyang was filled with regret after waking up, so he came to ask for forgiveness from Royal Grandmother and Ning. Royal Grandmother, please give the order to heavily beat this grandson. There is no need to show mercy. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she revealed a smile. She looked at Chu Xiaoyang in a pleasant manner and said with a smile, Xiaoyang, quickly stand up, quickly stand up. This widow thought something big had happened, but it was this kind of small matter. You just drank too much and wanted to be intimate with your princess, but the princess wasn't willing. This is her fault. How could a woman reject her husband? The one this widow should punish is not you, but rather your princess. Chu Xiaoyang was stunned. He looked at Empress Dowager Zhou in a daze, not being able to react for a while. Royal Grandmother, Xiaoyang did indeed make a mistake. You have forgiven this grandson, but Ning must still be angry at this grandson. So Xiaoyang wants to ask the Empress Dowager for mercy. This grandson wants to see Ning. This grandson wants to kneel in front of her and beg for her forgiveness. His words were filled with sincerity, and his words were moving. The nearby maids all felt their hearts being moved, secretly thinking that King Dingyuan was truly the best man in the world. So what if he had a husband? What else could a woman ask for? Empress Dowager Zhou was clearly moved by him as she nodded and said, "Your true feelings for the princess, even iron and stone would bloom for you. The princess will definitely forgive your reckless actions, so how hard is it for you to see her?" This widow had an idea yesterday and wanted someone to help this widow copy scriptures, so I sent someone to invite the princess to the palace. She is currently in the temple. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help looking at the temple on the side. Xiaoyang's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help looking at the temple on the side. Mo Chuan could clearly hear this from the room, and his face couldn't help changing. Empress Mother. Oh, Empress Mother, what kind of medicine are you selling? Do you want to help your own son, or that bastard or grandson? Chapter 427. Empress Dowager Zhou's words were like a bucket of ice water, instantly freezing Chu Xiaoyang's heart. He was stunned and couldn't make a sound. Bullshit. It was all bullshit. He cursed out in his heart. He didn't believe a single word Empress Dowager Zhou said, but Empress Dowager Zhou's words were so dignified that he couldn't refute her at all. Empress Dowager Zhou lovingly patted the back of his hand. "Xiaoyang, royal grandmother will definitely love your princess for you and won't let her suffer any grievances. This widow will also teach her the principles of being a woman, teaching her how to properly serve her husband, so you can be assured." The veins on Chu Xiaoyang's forehead popped out, and his chest felt like it was stuffed with cotton. He held his breath and was filled with anger. But facing the kind face of Empress Dowager Zhou, he could only grit his teeth and force out a smile. Xiaoyang thanks royal grandmother for Ning Er's teachings. He said this with insincerity. Empress Dowager Zhou had controlled the harem for many years, so she was already experienced. With just a few words, it made Chu Xiaoyang unable to say anything. When Mo Chuan heard this from the room, he couldn't help feeling admiration from the bottom of his heart. Compared to his mother, he really couldn't keep his composure. "Xiaoyang, it's rare for you to come to royal grandmother's peaceful life palace, so you can accompany this widow for a meal. This widow's peaceful life palace is very cold, and it is rare for people to visit this widow. This widow always eats alone, so I really don't have much of an appetite." Empress Dowager Zhou smiled as she pulled Chu Xiaoyang's hand to the side hall. At the same time, she ordered the servants around, "Come, bring the meal." Chu Xiaoyang's heart skipped a beat, and he asked, "The emperor didn't come to visit royal grandmother today?" "The emperor? He is busy with politics. How could he have time to visit this widow?" "That child Xiao Bai is not bad. This widow ate the medicine he brought back from the divine doctor and finally recovered from my illness that had been delayed for a year," Empress Dowager Zhou said in an uncaring voice. "So seventh brother isn't in the capital recently and has gone to find medicine for royal grandmother. Seventh brother's filial piety towards royal grandmother is commendable, making this Xiaoyang feel ashamed." Chu Xiaoyang lowered his head and a strange light flashed in his eyes. "Xiao Bai's filial piety, and you also have filial piety. Your princess copying scriptures for this widow is also very filial. This widow having two filial grandsons like you is 10 times better than having an unfilial son," Empress Dowager Zhou complained while personally helping Chu Xiaoyang eat. Chu Xiaoyang was overwhelmed by this, and he stood up. "Royal grandmother, you can't do this. It should be your grandson serving you. Xiao you Dowager Zhou, one of this and eat some more." Chu Xiaoyang's mind was unsettled, and he didn't answer the question. He saw that Empress Dowager Zhou's face was rosy, and she was even more spirited than yesterday, so he couldn't help secretly pondering this. Of the meal after Chmet, he of long of. He didn't gain anything from this trip to the palace. He didn't even see Chen Ning's face. He was filled with anger, and on the way back to the palace, he used the jade flower horse under him as a punching bag. It kept neighing the entire way, sounding very sad. He never thought that old woman Empress Dowager Zhou would be this hard to deal with. What copying 108 scriptures, listening to that old woman's meaning, she was planning on keeping Chun Ning in the palace. She was clearly helping her son steal his woman. Chu Xiaoyang felt more and more indignant the more he thought about it. He was filled with hatred towards Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan. Suddenly, with a thought, the anger on his face was replaced with a trace of ruthlessness. Chapter 428. Your son thanks mother for your help. Mo Chuan gave a deep bow to Empress Dowager Zhou, expressing his heartfelt respect. Empress Dowager Zhou's face turned serious, and she said with a cold smile, "Help? When did I say that I was going to help you? Emperor, don't come to the Peaceful Life Palace to pay your respects in the next few days, otherwise you'll attract criticism. Also, don't do anything that will shame the ancestors. I don't mind telling you, this widow has already sent King Jing and to guard the temple. If you dare take a single step into the temple, this widow will have him break one of that girl's legs. If you take 2 steps into the temple, then break both of that girl's legs. If your entire body enters the temple, tell me, what will this widow do?" And Mo Chuan couldn't help being angry as he said in a cold voice, "Mother, why don't you just give the order to cut off your son's head? If there's a mistake, it's your son's fault. It has nothing to do with her. You promised your son that you wouldn't make it hard for her. Could it be that mother doesn't keep her words? This widow does not plan on making it hard for her, but if the emperor forgets his status, this widow will not be merciful." Empress Dowager Zhou waved her sleeve and swept away the tea on the table. She shouted, "Emperor, it's already late. You should go back and take care of your affairs. There are many important matters to take care of every day, but you're wasting time here for a woman. Could it be that the citizens are not as important as a woman in your heart? Don't make this widow look down on you." Her words were like a whip that slapped Mo Chuan's face. Mo Chuan raised his chin and his eyes revealed a determined look. "Mother, the citizens are important, but she is also important. Your son understands mother's meaning. Your son will not disappoint mother, and mother will not disappoint your son." Empress Dowager Zhou's face finally calmed down, and she revealed a satisfied look. "Good child. As long as you do a good job, this widow will not disappoint you. Only this widow has heard that East Qin has already sent an envoy to ask for the tribute and will arrive in the capital city in a few days. Has the emperor prepared to welcome them?" Mo Chuan had a serious expression as he nodded. "Those who come do not have good intentions, and those with good intentions will not come. It is clearly not the time to hand over the tribute yet, but they have already sent someone to ask for it. It is clear that they have other plans. Mother can be assured, your son will be careful and will not give them any chance." When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she let out a sigh. She looked at Mo Chuan with a motherly look for the first time. "Good child, this widow has placed this heavy burden on your shoulders. It has truly been hard on you. This widow went against everyone and pushed you to the throne not because I was selfish, but other than you, there was no one that could take this heavy burden. In these past few years, this widow must not. It must have been hard." Mo Empress Dowager's son's words, Emperor. In fact, she didn't need to ask to know that ever since her son ascended to the throne, his temperament had become more and more cold and aloof. He rarely smiled and buried himself in the affairs of the state all day long. He didn't even speak his mind to her, his birth mother. I said she did not. Dowager. But she could tell that he was not happy being the emperor. He was taciturn. He was melancholy. Seeing this as his mother, how could her heart not ache? She truly hoped that her son could find someone he liked, untie the knot in his heart, and make him smile. Empress Dowager Zhou saw an unprecedented glow in Mo Chuan's eyes for the first time yesterday. He used that kind of deep and focused gaze to look at a girl. He couldn't help smiling at her. Chapter 429. Your son was not happy before, but now, your son feels very happy. Mother, your son's happiness and happiness are all in your hands. Mo Chuan pulled Empress Dowager Zhou's hand and slowly closed them, speaking with a double meaning. Empress Dowager Zhou's face became serious as usual, and her eyes sunk. Emperor, you're wrong. Your happiness and happiness are in your own hands. And Mo Chuan nodded and let go of Empress Dowager Zhou's hand. Your son understands. Your son will remember mother's words. There are many matters to attend to, so your son won't be able to come over for the next few days. I ask mother to take care of yourself. After he finished speaking, he walked with steady steps and left without looking back. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at his straight back, and her eyes slowly revealed a look of praise. But when her eyes fell onto the two closed doors of the temple, her brows couldn't help knitting together. How to solve this thorny matter? Even she couldn't think of a proper way. Forget it, forget it. She could only take it one step at a time. Chu Xiaoyang had come to the Peaceful Life Palace to ask for forgiveness, but he had been rejected by Empress Dowager Zhou. This news quickly spread from Su Jin's mouth to Chen Ning's ears. After she heard this, she raised her brows and revealed a faint smile, not feeling surprised at all. Ever since Empress Dowager Zhou drank the antidote, she had changed from Dingyuan Princess to Young Miss Chun. Although it was the same 4 words, the meaning was completely different. This meant that Empress Dowager Zhou had already agreed to her request in her heart. She just needed a reasonable opportunity to shut up the mouths of the people in the world. Chen Ning knew that no matter how much Empress Dowager Zhou loved her son, she wouldn't let the royal family have this kind of scandal. As long as she was Chu Xiaoyang's princess, there would be no future between her and Mo Chuan. She used the excuse that she needed to rest after copying scriptures all night and sent Su Jin out of the temple. Then she began to focus on making the Thunderbolt eggs. Because of the successful case, the Thunderbolt eggs she made this time were even more powerful and had an even stronger explosive force. She believed that it would be able to burn Chu Xiaoyang up on the outside and make smoke from his 7 orifices. When she gave the Thunderbolt eggs to Chu Xiaobai, she reminded him to be careful when using them. Otherwise, he would explode himself if he wasn't careful. Chu Xiaoyang immediately agreed and carefully placed the Thunderbolt eggs into the bag on his waist. When he was about to leave, he suddenly thought of something. Ninger, I heard that my 3rd brother came to the Peaceful Life Palace today to ask for forgiveness and wanted to bring you back. He turned around, and the following words were choked in his throat. Chen Ning picked up a Thunderbolt egg and angrily stared at him. Don't throw it. Please don't throw it. I said something wrong. I apologize to you. Ninger, I will never mention that person's name again. Chu Xiaobai pretended to be afraid, but his heart was actually very happy. As soon as he heard the news, he immediately rushed back to the palace, afraid that he would never see her again if he was a step late. She didn't. Little White, bring this along as well. Help me blow him up. Explode his butt. Chen Ning placed the Thunderbolt egg in her hand into Chu Xiaobai's bag and said in a hateful voice, Chu, whose butt will explode? Chu Xiaobai did not react for a moment. It's that bastard. Chen Ning gritted her teeth. Chu Xiaoyang instantly understood that she had misunderstood. He looked away with a guilty conscience, not daring to look at her. Chapter 430. Xiaobai, can you do something for me? Chen Ning suddenly called out to him. Chu Xiaobai immediately patted his chest and said, As long as you say it, no matter what it is, I will definitely do it. Ninger, tell me, what is it? Do you want me to take you away? Leave this place? His eyes were sparkling as he looked at her, full of anticipation. Chen Ning shook her head. I have a personal maid called Xiao Ru who is still in the Flowing Cloud Pavilion. I promised the Empress Dowager that I would stay here to copy scriptures, and Xiao Ru is used to serving me. I was thinking if you could find a reason to ask the Empress Dowager to let Xiao Ru enter the palace to serve me. Aunt Su Jin serves the Empress Dowager, so I don't want to trouble her. I think the Empress Dowager likes you a lot, so if you ask, perhaps the Empress Dowager will agree. She wanted Chu Xiaobai to secretly take Xiao Ru away, but thinking that Chu Xiaoyang had hit a wall today, he would definitely vent his anger on Xiao Ru. Perhaps Xiao Ru would already be locked up by Chu Xiaoyang. Thinking about it, it was best for the Empress Dowager to ask Chu Xiaoyang for her. But she also knew that although Empress Dowager Zhou had a large dislike for her and her attitude towards her was a bit better because of the spring jade matter, it did not mean that Empress Dowager Zhou was willing to see her and stand up for her. So, what's this matter? This is easy. I'll go ask the Empress Dowager tomorrow. Chu Xiaobai tried to hide the disappointment on his face as he agreed. He looked at the sky outside and saw that it was already the second watch, so he prepared to go. With Chen Ning's thunderbolt eggs, his confidence had increased greatly. Ninger, I'm going out to do something. I'll be back before dawn to help you copy scriptures. Chen Ning said with a smile. All right, I'll wait for your good news. Chu Xiaobai gave a laugh and jumped out the window. Using his qin gong, he headed in the direction of the royal city. King Jing'an, please wait. The emperor has a decree to summon your Highness King Jing into the royal study. Suddenly, a gray figure flew out and blocked in front of him. Zhui Feng, why is it you again? Chu Xiaobai stopped. When he saw this gray, clothed figure, he snappily said, It's already this late. What does the emperor need me for? If it isn't anything important, then we'll talk tomorrow. This king still has something important to do. He did not want to miss the appointment, mainly because he didn't want to teach this brat Ning. Zhui Feng respectfully said, Every time the emperor summons your highness, there is something important. What is it this time? Don't tell me you want this prince to find a godly doctor to ask for medicine again. Go and report to the emperor. This king's knees are swollen from kneeling, so it's better to send you. Chu Xiaobai said in a sarcastic voice. King Jing'an? Chu Xiao Chu. Chu Xiao Xiao Chu, what important matter? Chu Xiaobai gave a cold laugh. I wonder if your highness has heard that the East Qin envoys have already set off and will arrive in our capital city soon? East Qin envoy, when as he is? Chu Xiaobai's expression instantly changed. He gritted his teeth and a sharp glow appeared in his eyes. His hands unknowingly formed fists. Chun, Zazi as his Chun. All right, this prince will go see his majesty now. Chu Xiaobai immediately ran to the royal study without any hesitation. In the royal study, the candles were lit, and Mo Chuan was standing behind the imperial desk, staring at the letter that had just been sent over on a horse. The dark color in his eyes became darker. Chapter 431. He knew the emperor's habits. The more silent he was and the darker his eyes were, it meant that the emperor's anger was about to explode. Xiaoxi was both afraid and curious. Just what was written in this letter that could make the calm and reserved emperor instantly become like a lion that was about to explode. His body was filled with nervousness when he suddenly heard the sound of clothes fluttering in the wind. He quickly ran over to open the door and saw one white and one gray figure running over. It was Chu Xiaobai and Zhui Feng, giving him a long sigh of relief. King Jing'an, please come in. The emperor is waiting for you. Xiaoxi waited for Chu Xiaobai to enter the royal study before closing the door. He patted his chest and left. Zhui Feng looked at him with disdain and said with a curled lip, Xiaoxi, look at your useless appearance. The emperor won't use you to vent his anger, no matter how angry he is. Is there a need for you to do this? Xiaoxi laughed. Zhui Feng, if you aren't afraid of the emperor's anger, why don't you go in? You are the emperor's secret guard, so you should be by the emperor's side at all times. Zhui Feng's expression did not change as he said, the emperor and King Jing are discussing a secret matter of the country. Our duty as servants is to protect the emperor, so we can't eavesdrop. Humph, stop boasting. You're the same as me, afraid of the emperor's anger. Xiaoxi made a face at Zhui Feng. He jumped onto a large tree in the yard and sat on a branch. He held his chin as he looked at Mo Chuan's figure reflected on the paper window and couldn't help giving a sigh. Others envied his master being the emperor, but only he, the little eunuch beside the emperor, knew that his master was not happy at all. It was very tiring being the emperor. There were endless memorials to read and endless cases to deal with. Whether it was a small or big matter, as long as it was something that couldn't be solved, it would all be sent to his master for him to solve. It was a good thing that the person solving these matters was his master and not him. Otherwise, he would have gone crazy. Zhu Feng's eyes turned, and he also jumped onto the tree. He sat beside Xiao Si and affectionately wrapped his arm around his shoulder. "Brother Xiao Si, I want to ask you something." He revealed a mischievous smile. "What is it?" Xiao Si immediately looked at him warily. "The Emperor has always been inseparable from you, bringing you no matter where he goes. The Emperor disappeared every day after morning court. Even a secret guard like me couldn't find him. Can you tell Brother Zhu Feng where our Emperor went?" Zhu Feng didn't want to gossip, but he couldn't suppress his curiosity. Shu, this is the Emperor's private matter. Don't pry into it." Xiao Si rolled his eyes and pushed away the hand on his shoulder. Zhu Feng immediately smiled. "So you don't know either." "The Emperor not only dumped me, he also dumped you." "Nonsense. Who says I don't know? I know everything about the Emperor," Xiao Si said, unconvinced. "Brother Xiao Si, don't be so stubborn. If you don't know, then you don't know." Zhu Feng sneered. "I just know that His Majesty has always been." Before Little Four could finish speaking, the window of the Imperial study suddenly opened and a black object flew out. "Pa!" A piece of coiling dragon ink smashed right into Little Four's cheek. The two fellows on the tree scram. Chapter 432. Although Xiao Si and Zhu Feng's voices were not loud, Mo Chuan and Chu Xiao Bai's internal energy was very strong, so they had already heard their conversation. Mo Chuan was too lazy to care about his two subordinates gossiping outside, pretending not to know. However, Chu Xiao Bai was addicted to listening. He was also very curious about the Emperor's whereabouts. The Emperor had been very secretive these past few days, so he had entered the palace several times. He never thought that when Xiao Si reached the key point, he would be interrupted by the Emperor. "Emperor, you haven't been in the palace recently. Where did you go?" Chu Xiaobai couldn't help asking. "This one didn't summon you here to ask about this one's whereabouts." Mo Chuan's eyes were cold as he picked up the letter on the table and threw it at Chu Xiaobai. Chu Xiaobai reached out to catch it, and his wrist slightly sank. That thin letter felt like it was weighed down by a heavy object. He couldn't help praising. "The Emperor has such a deep internal energy." "Stop flattering me. Look at the letter." Mo Chuan's face was calm the entire time, not showing any smile at all. Chu Xiaobai stuck out his tongue. When he saw the Emperor's serious expression, he knew that the contents of the letter were very important. He did not dare joke around and took out the letter to read it. "Ah, how preposterous. The East Qin country is going too far." After reading a few lines, his handsome face turned red. The more he read, the more angry he became, and he almost couldn't help tearing the letter to pieces. "Emperor, is what this letter says true?" His hand holding the letter began to tremble with anger. Why does East Qin dare to make this kind of shameless request? What right do they have to double our West Chu's annual tribute? What qualifications do they have?" Chu Xiaobai was so angry that he almost flipped the table. Thinking that this was the Emperor's order, he could only endure it. "Of course they have the qualifications. Xiaobai, don't forget that they hold the lifeline of our West Chu country in their hands." Mo Chuan said word for word. When he first saw the letter, he was as angry as Chu Xiaobai, but he was an introvert, so he didn't show it. Hearing this, it was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over Chu Xiaobai, and he instantly calmed down. He huffed and puffed, angrily saying, "Your Majesty, are we just going to obediently let them do as they please? They want to double our annual tribute this year. Will they want to triple it next year? How can we have so much silver for them to exploit? Our West Chu citizens don't need to wear clothes or eat." Every problem, he said, was a problem that gave Mo Chuan a headache. His face sank, and he didn't say a word. Internal troubles and external aggression. He smiled bitterly. "Mother, Mother, back then you pushed your son onto the throne because you knew that it was not easy to be the emperor, so you let your son bear all of this, right?" Chu Xiaobai grabbed the letter and looked over it again. He suddenly gave a snort. "Emperor, look, they're so shameless. They actually use this kind of high-sounding reason. saying that they would send a special envoy to West Shu to compete with us in 3 rounds. The topic of the competition will be decided by the special envoy, and if we lose one of the 3 rounds, the tribute will be doubled. Why did the competition have to be decided by their East Qin? This is clearly a case of stealing a bell while covering one's ears. Of course, Mo Chuan knew, but he was annoyed because of this. He knew that the other side was being unreasonable, but they could only let the other side slaughter them. This feeling of being controlled by others was the most suffocating. Chapter 433. When Mo Chuan heard this, he stared at him and slightly shook his head. This one is not looking for you to kill people. If I want to kill people, this one has hidden guards, and I don't need you to do it. Not to mention that they have already entered our West Shu country and will arrive in the capital city in a few days. If the East Qin envoy dies in our country, it will cause a large wave. Then what does the emperor want me to do by looking for me? Chu Xiaobai's words were just words of anger. He had to admit that although the emperor was only a few years older than him, his knowledge, vision, and thoughts were all better than his. Mo Chuan thought about it for a bit before slowly saying, "You are smart, alert, good Qigong, and good martial arts. This one wants to send you to investigate the East Qin envoy's background, and guess what kind of questions he will give you? The so-called knowing yourself and knowing your enemy. You can win 100 battles." He took the letter from Chu Xiaobai's hands and pointed at the words on the paper. This East Qin envoy is very mysterious. The letter doesn't mention a single word about his background, so it will make people suspicious. This one hopes that you can find a way to sneak into their envoys. Perhaps you can find out the secrets of the East Qin envoy. It really was a good method. Chu Xiaobai wanted to agree, but he suddenly thought of the task Empress Dowager Zhou gave him and hesitated a bit. "Emperor, does Xiaobai need to personally go for this matter? Zhu Feng can also do it. His Qigong is not below mine, and he is alert, so he isn't stupid." He praised Zhu Feng against his heart. It wasn't that he didn't want to go, but if he went to the East Qin envoys to find out the secrets, he wouldn't be able to protect her by her side. Zhu Feng's martial arts cannot compare to yours. His Qigong cannot compare to yours, and he is not as smart as you. This one only trusts you. Xiaobai, are you not willing? Mo Chuan actually made an exception and praised him 3 times. Chu Xiaobai instantly felt light as he said in his heart, "It's rare for the emperor uncle to praise me and flatter me, so I have to go even if I don't want to." Not to mention that compared to protecting the temple, this was a matter of national importance. Which was more important? Of course he had to make a decision. "All right, this minister is willing, but Xiaobai has a matter I need the emperor's help with." "Oh, what is it?" Mo Chuan looked up. "It's a task the Empress Dowager gave Xiaobai." Chu Xiaobai repeated what Empress Dowager Zhou said, and then said, "After this minister leaves, I hope the emperor can send someone else to guard the temple and protect the Ding Yuan princess." Mo Chuan's expression did not change as he nodded. "Xiaobai, you can go in peace. This one will protect the peaceful life palace for you. When you come back, the Ding Yuan princess will be safe and sound, not losing a single hair." Chu Xiaobai was surprised and happy. "Chu Xiaobai you. This minister will go." Mo nodded again. Mo Chuan Xiao Chuan. Chu Xiaobai looked at the sky outside. It was already past midnight, and his fight with that Brat He had already passed. That Brat He wouldn't think that he was scared and ran away, right? He touched the Thunderbolt egg in his leather pouch and thought to himself that He was lucky. When he returned, he would let him have a taste of the power of the Thunderbolt egg. "Xiaobai, you have to be careful. This one will send Zhu Feng with you, so you can take care of each other." Mo Chuan's right hand pressed against the dragon throne a few times, sending out a secret signal. Very quickly, Zhu Feng's figure silently appeared in the royal study. Chapter 434. Zhu Feng, you will go with King Jing and to do a task. You'll have to listen to King Jing An's orders on the way, and you can't move on your own. Do you understand? Mo Chuan's voice was very strict. This subordinate will obey. Zhu Feng bowed down. Chu Xiaobai suddenly gave Zhu Feng a laugh. That light-like smile made Zhou Feng feel a chill run down his back. King Jing and he wouldn't use his position to take revenge, right? He had never offended King Jing before. You can leave now. Mo Chuan waved his hand, and the two of them left the royal study. Chu Xiaobai thought about it, but he was still not assured. He turned to run into the peaceful life palace. He wanted to see her and say his goodbyes no matter what. King Jing'an, we should be going east when we leave the capital. Why are you going in the opposite direction? Zhou Feng felt this was strange. He followed behind Chu Xiaobai, not taking a single step away. Chu Xiaobai suddenly felt this shadow-like person was very annoying. He snappily said, "The emperor has ordered for you to listen to this king's orders. This king likes to go west. What do you care? Shut up for this king. You're not allowed to speak." Zhou Feng immediately stopped speaking. Chu Xiaobai saw that they were about to reach the peaceful life palace, so he turned around and said, "Wait for me here. I have something to do with the Empress Dowager. I'll be back soon." At this time, the Empress Dowager is already asleep. "Your Highness." Zhou Feng couldn't help speaking up. "Stop. You're not allowed to speak or move. Just wait here for this king to come back." In front of Zhou Feng, Chu Xiaobai put on the airs of a king, looking very majestic. Humph, that stinky brat Zhou Feng. Just because he was the emperor's secret guard, he never placed his highness in his eyes. It was the emperor's orders today, so he had to listen to him. If he told him to be round, he would be round. If he told him to be flat, he would be flat. Chu Xiaobai gave an evil laugh. He stared at Zhou Feng, who was standing there like a statue, and quickly ran into the peaceful life palace. The candles in the temple had not been extinguished. Chen Ning was lying on her side on the couch, breathing deeply as she slept soundly. A Buddhist scripture had fallen on the ground in front of her. When Chu Xiaobai entered the temple, he saw this picture of a crabapple sleeping in spring. He softly walked over and picked up the Buddhist scripture on the ground. He gently placed it on her pillow and placed it on her pillow. He stood in front of the bed, looking at her reluctantly. For a moment, he did not want to leave like this. He did not want to wake her, but if he left like this, he would not be satisfied. "Yeah, I got it." He suddenly curled lips into a smile. He picked up the brush and drew a bird on the left side of her face and wrote 2 words on the right side. "Wait for me." He believed that with his intelligence, as he saw the bird, and he would be. He believed that with her intelligence, as long as she saw the bird and the words he left behind, she would definitely understand what he meant. When he came out of the peaceful life palace, he found that Zhou Feng was still standing in the same place. He was in the same position as when he left, not moving at all. Feng to say, "Zt Chen?" Feng followed behind him, and a strange smile flashed across his face. So the reason King Jing insisted on coming to the peaceful life palace was because of her. When he was hiding outside the temple window, he could clearly see that there was a young girl sleeping in the temple. Moreover, he recognized this young girl. He had met her once before. She was King Ding Yuan's princess. Chapter 435. In order to not be silenced by King Jing, Zhou Feng did not dare take another look and quickly left. His heart was still beating fast. Last time in the King Ding Yuan palace, he had felt that the way King Jing looked at the princess was not right. He never thought that it would be wrong. He never thought that the little brother would fall in love with the big brother's woman. This was truly interesting. Wu, he had discovered this big secret. Should he report this matter to the emperor? Zhou Feng began to ponder. Not long after Chu Xiaobai left, a black-clothed figure silently entered the temple. Mo Chuan walked in front of the couch and saw the words and drawings that Chu Xiaobai had left on her face. He couldn't help being stunned, but he quickly understood the meaning of the words and drawings. His handsome brows instantly knit together. Humph, this brat really is bold. He actually used her face as a drawing paper and even wrote and drew on it. He quickly left, and when he came back, he was holding a wet towel in his hand. Sitting in front of the couch, he slowly used the towel to wipe the ink off her face. He was worried that he would wake her up, so he only dared to gently wipe it. Her skin was delicate, white and tender. Just wiping it a few times, her thin skin turned red. It was like a white camellia flower being dyed a faint red, looking very beautiful. He looked at it and felt his heart beat faster. Ning felt an itch on her face in her sleep. She knit her brows and muttered, "So itchy. Where did the mosquito come from?" When she opened her eyes, she saw Mo Chuan's enlarged black eyes and was stunned for a moment. After a while, she reacted, "Mo Chuan, it's you? What are you doing?" She found that Mo Chuan was holding a towel in his hand that was currently on the right side of her face. No wonder she felt itchy. Mo Chuan said with a calm expression, "Your face is dirty, so this one is helping you wipe it." He continued to wipe it twice, completely wiping away the ink left by Chu Xiao Bai, not leaving a single mark. "How can my face be dirty? Didn't I clearly wash my face last night?" Ning touched her smooth face in a puzzled manner. Looking at the towel in Mo Chuan's hand, it was gray and black. It was clear that he had wiped it off her face, and her face instantly turned red. She could not understand why her face was this dirty. Could it be that the water she washed her face with was ink? Mo Chuan threw the towel away and pursed his lips. He had a smile as he looked at her smooth as jade face. His mood was very bad, but when he saw her, it inexplicably became better. Ning's eyes looked over his face, and she suddenly asked, "Did something unhappy happen to you?" He looked at her face, and then she suddenly asked, "Mo Chuan Chuan you? Chuan Chuan's heart. Of course I can see it from here." She raised her hand and placed a finger between his brows. It was soft and warm, but Mo Chuan did not dodge it. Mo to say, Ling to say. Ling Mo Chun Ling for Mo to say. Mo Chuan shook his head. "This is a matter of the country. It's better if you don't know about it." Mo Chuan shook his head. "This is a national matter. It's better if you don't know. I like to hear about matters of the country. Like how you harm me and I harm you in the palace. I don't want to hear about it." Ning wrinkled her nose. "I like to listen to the matters of the country. Like how you harm me and I harm you in the palace. Even if you tell me, I don't want to hear it." Ning wrinkled her nose. Chapter 436. If it's a secret matter, then don't say it. I still want to keep my head for food. Ning smiled as she stuck out her tongue. She looked around. Where's Xiao Bai? Why isn't he back yet? She was still waiting to hear the good news Chu Xiao Bai brought back. She didn't know what would happen to Chu Xiao Yang after he ate her carefully made thunderbolt eggs. Mo Chuan's expression was calm, but his brows moved slightly. He said in a calm voice, "You're asking about Chu Xiao Bai? This one sent him out to do something. He has already left the capital city and won't be coming back in the next few days." Doing something? Ning suspiciously looked at Mo Chuan. Although she couldn't see any flaws on his face, she could still sense some clues. She gave a gentle laugh and said, "Mo Chuan, a straightforward person doesn't need to beat around the bush. You sent him away on purpose, right? Last time you also sent him away from the capital city. Tell me, what are your intentions?" Mo Chuan was seen through by her, and his heart felt awkward, but his face remained normal. His dark eyes looked at her, and his lips slightly curled up as he asked back, "What intentions do you think this one has?" "You?" Ning's face suddenly turned red under his gaze. Wasn't his intentions clear? He was jealous. But what kind of taste was he getting? She and Chu Xiao Bai were completely innocent. There was nothing between them at all. "What kind of task did you send him to do? Will there be any danger?" She was a bit worried. Xiao Bai was a bit wronged. "What? Are you worried about him?" Mo Chuan's face was expressionless, and even his voice was cold. "He is this one's blood-related nephew. Do you think this one will harm him?" It seems like he's getting more and more jealous. He stood up and pointed at the box he brought. "I'll give this to the Empress Dowager tomorrow." Ning glanced at it and already guessed what was inside. "You copied the scriptures?" Mo Chuan gave a soft snort and turned to leave. In order to leave a good impression on the Empress Dowager, he didn't sleep for 2 nights to help her copy the scriptures, but she was worried about another person in her heart. She really was a girl without a conscience. His heart was filled with annoyance. He wanted to see her when he couldn't see her, but when he saw her, Her words made him feel uncomfortable. Chen Ning looked at his back in a daze. He was angry, just like this, just because she was worried about Xiao Bai. Truly petty. She pursed her lips. If he wanted to leave, then so be it. Was she going to beg him? Lowering her gaze, she looked at the brocade box he had brought with him. Opening the lid, she saw that there were indeed several dozen copies of Buddhist scriptures inside. The handwriting was delicate and elegant. Clearly, he was imitating a woman's handwriting, but it was unable to conceal his own strength of character. Her heart softened for no reason, and she bit her lips. Although his martial arts were good, copying the Buddhist scriptures required careful strokes. It was not something that could be copied quickly with good martial arts. Then, copying these Buddhist scriptures must have taken him a lot of time, right? As the ruler of a country, he must have endless political affairs to deal with on a daily basis. Yet, he helped her with these trivial matters without rest. Chen Ning's heart turned into a mess. She looked up and saw Imo Chuan's tall figure walking in front of the door. She was. He was out. Imo Chuan. His footsteps paused, but he did not turn around. Chapter 437. It was like Imo Chuan's acupuncture point had been poked, and he couldn't move at all. There were two soft arms around his waist, and her warm body was pressed against his back. He could almost feel her heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. Each beat was faster than the last, just like his heart. He was silent and did not say a word. He wanted to push her away, but he was reluctant. But how could he not be angry like this? He couldn't do it. Thinking of his sincerity for her, what he wanted was more than just the 3 words, "thank you." Chen Ning looked up, seeing that Imo Chuan did not turn around and did not speak or leave. Her eyes couldn't help revealing a sly smile. His qin gong was this high. If he really wanted to leave, how could she catch up to him? If he wanted to hide, how would she be able to hold him? He was clearly waiting for her to give in to him. Humph, truly a black-bellied and stingy fellow. Okay, you can go. She let go of his hand and took a step back. Imo Chuan was stunned. Feeling the warmth behind him disappear, he couldn't help revealing a trace of anger. She let go just like this? He hadn't had enough of the feeling of being hugged by her, and it was gone just like that. He turned around and saw her sparkling eyes, blinking as she looked at him. That pure and innocent gaze made him instantly stunned. So cold, she stood barefoot on the blue stone tiles that were as smooth as a mirror. The cold air drilled straight up, and she suddenly shivered. His eyes looked down and landed on her snow-white, lotus-like feet. His eyes darkened, and anger rose in his heart. This girl actually came out of bed barefoot to chase after him. Wasn't she afraid of catching a cold? It wasn't like he was really leaving. He was just pretending. Was she so anxious that she didn't even put on her shoes? But he couldn't say why. While he was anxious and angry, there was a trace of sweetness in his heart. His long arm reached out and grabbed her legs. He lifted her up and walked over to the bed with large steps. There was only a mat in the temple, and this bed had been moved in by Su Jin. Of course, this was also with Empress Dowager Zhou's permission. Placing her on the bed, he reached out to hold her feet. There was a cold and smooth feeling in his hand, and that cold feeling seeped into his heart. He still did not make a sound, and just silently used his palm to warm her feet. His eyes were lowered, not looking at her. Under the light, his side profile was perfect and delicate. His long eyelashes were thick and dense, covering the various emotions in his black eyes. Chen Ning's feet slowly warmed up, and her heart also felt warm. She leaned back on the bed and stared at him without blinking, admiring his beautiful face. In the room, the two of them did not say a word. There was only the occasional light from the candle. This one is B. Imo Chuan suddenly said in a deep voice. Chen Ning was stunned for a second before reacting. So he was talking to her. Was he explaining why he sent Chu Xiao by away? She blinked, but she did not say a word. The task this one is sending him to do. There won't be any danger, and he won't be injured. In a few days, he will come back without a single hair missing. This one will also send Zhue Feng to protect him. So you should be assured, right? Imo Chuan said. Chen Ning couldn't help raising her eyelashes and looking at him. What did he mean by this? Chapter 438. Chen Ning felt something was wrong the more she heard, and she revealed a suspicious look. Was he trying to keep his distance from her? No need. She clearly cut him off. I can copy the scriptures myself. There is no need for the emperor to personally write it. The emperor has many important matters to take care of. How could he do something as small as copying scriptures? You copy it yourself? Can your words be seen by others? He softly said, How do you know my words can't be seen by others? She stared at him in an unconvinced manner. Mo Chuan did not reply. He took out a crumpled piece of paper and slowly opened it. There were 3 crooked earthworms drawn on it. He revealed a smile as he looked at her. Did you write these words? Ah, get it back to me. When did you steal my things? Chen Ning was angry and annoyed. Those 3 earthworm-like words were the Chuan character she had written in the past. After she finished writing it, she rubbed it and threw it into the wastepaper basket. She never thought that this piece of wastepaper would fall into Mo Chuan's hands. She reached out to grab it, but Mo Chuan raised his hand and she grabbed empty air. Because she lost her balance, she fell into his embrace. Tell this one, why did you write this one's name? Mo Chuan's dark eyes revealed a smile. He held her waist with one hand and held the paper in the other, waving it in front of her. Who said I wrote your name? This is clearly a painting I drew, she said with a slightly red face. She wanted to break free of his grasp, but he held her even tighter. Oh, what painting is this? Why can't this one see it? She confidently replied, 3 earthworms. Mo Chuan couldn't help smiling. His taut face instantly relaxed, and a smile appeared on his cold lips. Are you copying scriptures for the Empress Dowager, or are you painting for the Empress Dowager? If the Empress Dowager sees your painting, how do you think the Empress Dowager will punish you? The Empress Dowager will not punish me. The so-called copying scriptures is just an excuse for her to keep me here. She blurted out, Oh, then your meaning is that the scriptures this one copied for you were all for nothing? The smile in his eyes instantly turned cold, and his body released a cold aura. Of course not. She suddenly wanted to bite her tongue in regret. Actually, she didn't want him to work too hard. She didn't expect that she would accidentally touch his reverse scale. Very good. Since it's like this one won't do this kind of useless thing in the future. Just give me what you owe me. Mo Chuan let go of the hand around her waist. His face was cold, and his chin was tight. Z. He really would fall out with a single word. Of course she knew what he wanted, but she didn't like it. If she gave it to him, he would have no excuse to see her again. Then, teach me how to write first. Then I'll return what I owe you. She rolled her black eyes. No one has ever dared to bargain with me, he said with a cold face. Whoa, there's a first time for everything. You'll get used to it in the future. She smiled as she made a face at him. Seeing her smiling face, his taut face relaxed, and he couldn't help giving a helpless sigh. He wanted to scare her a bit, but she wasn't afraid at all. Where was his prestige as a ruler? All right, tonight this one will teach you how to write. Now this one will go to morning court, so you can sleep for a bit. Chapter 439. Chen Ning blinked. He really was temperamental. It was like a dark cloud just now, but in the blink of an eye, it had turned into a gentle breeze. She really couldn't accept it, but she was really tired. Giving a yawn, she slowly closed her eyes. It was like she knew he was by her side. Her heart was calm, and she quickly fell asleep. She was half asleep, half awake, and half awake. She felt something gently touch her forehead, like a butterfly flapping its wings, and then quickly flew away. She seemed like she knew what it was. Her lips curled up in her sleep, as if she was having a sweet dream. Empress Dowager Zhou's room. She was sitting in a chair, holding a cup of tea as she slowly tasted it. Su Jin came in from outside and placed the scripture she had just taken from the temple on the square table in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. She pursed her lips and said with a smile, Empress Dowager, take a look. The princess consort scriptures are even more beautiful now. Empress Dowager Zhou looked over and picked up a piece of paper. Carefully looking at it, she gave a slight nod. It's not bad. She took a sip of tea and looked up to ask, Su Jin, have you heard the news of King Jing and being sent out of the palace by the emperor? Su Jin was stunned. This servant doesn't know. Didn't King Jing and just return to the capital? Why did the emperor immediately send him out again? Empress Dowager Zhou slammed the teacup down and said, Isn't it all because of the emperor? He thinks the Xiaobai is an eyesore. Su Jin's mouth fell open in shock, and she couldn't close it for a while. She stuttered out, Empress Dowager, you're meaning this servant doesn't understand. She said in her heart, It can't be. Could it be that His Highness King Jing and also likes the princess consort? Empress Dowager Zhou could guess what she was thinking when she saw her expression. She glared at her and said, This widow doesn't mean that. The emperor must have known that this widow sent Xiaobai to guard the temple, so he sent Xiaobai away. Humph, that stinky brat, he's dreaming. She slapped the stack of Buddhist scriptures with her palm. Su Jin, go and pass on this widow's decree. From today on, the Dingyuan princess does not need to copy scriptures in the temple. This widow's bones have been sore recently, so let her live in the warm west room next to this widow and massage this widow's shoulders and legs. Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes sparkled as she slowly said, The Empress Dowager is wise. Su Jin suppressed a smile and gave a reply. She thought that old ginger was spicier. No matter how strong the sun was, he couldn't beat the Mother Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou's move, immediately cutting off the emperor's thoughts. If you have something to say, then say it. Don't hesitate. Empress Dowager Zhou took another sip of tea. Her eyes swept over, and she saw Su Jin's hesitant appearance. Yes, this servant feels that the princess consort's handwriting is this good. Even if she lives in the warm West Pavilion, she can still copy scriptures for the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager, are you starting to like the princess consort and feel sorry for her? Su Jin bravely said. She had a very good impression of Chen Ning, especially since Chen Ning had saved Empress Dowager Zhou's life. She was filled with gratitude towards Chen Ning. Once she had a chance, she wanted to plead for Chen Ning in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. Wouldn't it be too boring to let such a young girl, who was in the prime of her youth, be locked up in a cold and gloomy temple all day? Empress Dowager Zhou slowly looked up and looked at Su Jin. Did she really copy these scriptures? When she was copying them, did you personally see it? Chapter 440. The princess consort likes to copy scriptures in the middle of the night. When this servant goes every morning, she will find these copied scriptures on the table. Could it be that these weren't copied by the princess consort? Su Jin's mouth opened in shock once again. You're right, this widow doesn't feel sorry for her. This widow feels sorry for my son. Empress Dowager Zhou already knew about this matter. She picked up the stack of scriptures and lovingly looked through them one by one. She gave a sigh and said, The emperor is so busy dealing with politics, but he still has to copy scriptures for her every day. If this goes on, this widow will feel tired for him. Su Jin almost did not believe her ears. Empress Dowager, you're saying that these scriptures were copied by the emperor? That's right. Although the emperor purposely changed his handwriting, he was born from this widow's stomach, so this widow can see it with a single glance. This stinky brat. This widow has raised him for 24 years, but he has never copied a single scripture for this widow. Now, because of his heart for a woman, he has copied this much. This widow really should have made him copy those 108 scriptures. Humph. Empress Dowager Zhou said this. She was filled with hate as she choked on the tea in her mouth and began to cough. Su Jin patted Empress Dowager Zhou's back while saying, But after the Empress Dowager took the spring jade flower root water, your complexion is getting better every day. You didn't take the divine doctor's medicine last night, but you slept all the way until dawn. Speaking of this, we really have to thank the princess consort. The Empress Dowager letting her stay in the warm West Pavilion is a grace to her. Empress Dowager Zhou slapped Su Jin's hand away in annoyance. What kind of strange soup did that girl give you that you keep saying good things for her? This servant doesn't dare. Su Jin quickly kneeled on the ground. All right, all right. How could this widow not understand your thoughts? Stand up. Empress Dowager Zhou waved her hand and had Su Jin stand up. She then said in a deep voice, in terms of appearance, this Chun family's eldest girl is indeed outstanding. Even if we don't mention her identity, this widow has heard that she is an ignorant and idiotic young miss. 1. She doesn't know how to read, and 2. She doesn't know how to do needlework. This widow has only heard this before, but now that I've seen it, I feel that the rumors aren't false. But this servant feels that the princess consort is not an idiotic embroidered pillow. Su Jin said in a hesitant manner. Have you seen her write with a pen? Has she used a needle to embroider? If she really knew how to write, the emperor wouldn't be copying scriptures for her every night. Humph! A woman's virtue is virtue. Even if she has virtue and looks, she doesn't have the qualifications to be the emperor's woman. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly said. Empress Dowager's meaning is? She only has a good appearance. The emperor is full of vigor, so it is inevitable that he will be charmed by beauty. However, if she wants to climb up the tree branch and become a phoenix, she will not be able to get past me. Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes sparkled, and she had an idea in her mind. Su Jin, send a decree for this widow. Go invite the young miss of the great teacher Xia's palace, the second miss of Minister Wu's palace, and the young miss of Censor Lu's family to the palace. Tell them that this widow has heard that these young misses are famous and can write poetry, so I'm inviting them to the Peaceful Life Palace to show off their talents. Su of Empress. Empress Su, Empress Amoth of Empress. Chapter 441. Su Jin couldn't help taking in a cold breath. She knew that the 3 young ladies invited by Empress Dowager Zhou were not only beautiful, they were also famous for their talents in the capital city. They were all famous, talented women in the capital city. The Empress Dowager suddenly invited them to the palace for a banquet and even asked the princess to come with them. This was clearly showing off her power to the princess. Empress Dowager, the princess has saved you before. Wouldn't this make the princess feel bad? Su Jin couldn't help saying in a small voice. I just want her to back off in the face of difficulties. If she knows how bad it is, then she should give up on that thought. Don't even think about becoming the emperor's woman. Our West Chu will not let an idiot be the empress. Empress Dowager Zhou was a bit excited as she spoke, forcefully slapping the table with her hand. Quickly send the decree. Su Jin did not dare say anything else and agreed to go. Her heart was secretly feeling sad for Chen Ning. When Chen Ning received the news of moving to the warm West Pavilion, she understood that Empress Dowager Zhou must have found out about Mo Chuan writing scriptures, but this was what she wanted. Empress Dowager Zhou loved her son, and she also loved Mo Chuan, so now everyone was happy. The warm West Pavilion was next to Empress Dowager Zhou's room, only one door away from Empress Dowager Zhou's room. Su Jin had already cleaned the room, and the furnishings inside were exquisite, completely different from the simple temple. Princess Consort, this servant will help you dress up. There's still an hour before the banquet. What dress would you like to wear? This light purple one? Or this light blue one? There were several newly made dresses on the bed. Each one was beautiful and beautiful. They were all sent over by the eldest princess. Chen Ning did not care much about dressing up, but she was secretly grateful for the eldest princess' good intentions. She casually pointed at a set and said, "This one is fine." Su Jin hesitated for a bit and said, "Isn't this one too simple and not enough to stand out? How about you wear this water red one? It will definitely look good, and you'll be able to beat those girls." "What girls?" Chen Ning turned around to look at her. Su Jin realized that she had spilled the beans. She did not want to say it, but thinking that the princess would see it in a bit, she said that Empress Dowager Zhou had invited 3 other young ladies to the banquet. Then she added, "These 3 girls are all famous, talented girls in the capital city. The Xia family's daughter is very good at writing poems, the Wu family's second miss is good at drawing, and the Lu family's young miss is good at playing the zither. I've heard that her zither can even attract birds, singing along with her. Hearing the song, Chun Ning understood the meaning behind Empress Dowager Zhou's banquet once she heard this. Ning couldn't help revealing a smile. Chun Ning understood Zhou's meaning when she heard this banquet. But she would not back. "Thank you, Aunt Su Jin, for telling me." Ning is very grateful. She smiled at Su Jin. Su Jin saw that she understood her meaning and nodded. She could only do this much. There was nothing else she could do to help. She carefully helped Chun Ning put up a unique and charming bun. She picked up a pair of luan-decorated hair ornaments, wanting to place it in her hair, but Chun Ning shook her head, not willing to wear it. That thing was heavy and swaying. She didn't want it. She took out a simple hairpin from a jewelry box. There was only a single pearl on it, and she gave it to Su Jin. "Just wear this." Chapter 442. As they wish, I don't care. Chun Ning slowly stood up. Her black hair was like a cloud, with only a pearl hairpin in it. She wore an aquamarine, cloud-like dress. The color was simple and elegant, and only the collar and cuffs were embroidered with silver silk thread with orchid patterns. The style was simple and elegant, and when she walked, it seemed as if a light mist was floating. Only then did Su Jin realize that the simple yet elegant attire on her body was not the least bit inferior to those noble young ladies with heavy makeup and colorful colors. Empress Dowager Zhou's spring banquet was held in the pavilion in the center of the lake in the garden next to the peaceful life palace. Chun Ning saw from afar that Empress Dowager Zhou was already sitting there. Around her, there were 3 beautiful girls around 16 to 17 years old, looking like dignified daughters of large families. They were all sitting there with their eyes on their noses and their noses on their hearts. If one didn't pay attention, they would think that there were 3 wooden stakes wearing colorful clothes. She slightly lowered her head and covered the smile on her lips. She walked into the pavilion and bowed to Empress Dowager Zhou according to the rules. "Greetings to the Empress Dowager." Although the 3 girls were looking straight ahead, they had already looked over Chun Ning from head to toe. They could guess that Empress Dowager Zhou had called them into the palace today. On the surface, it was a banquet, but it was actually to test their talents, secretly choosing a concubine for the emperor. Although they had heard that the emperor would not come out for this banquet, they still did their best to dress themselves up, hoping to gain Empress Dowager Zhou's favor. Seeing Chun Ning's light and refined attire, the 3 of them secretly regretted that they had dressed up too beautifully. "Ding Yuan Princess, rise, please sit." Before Chun Ning appeared, Empress Dowager Zhou was sitting in the middle of the 3 young ladies, chatting with the 3 girls with a faint smile on her face. Although she was kind, the 3 girls were too nervous. When they replied to her, they either didn't express their thoughts or they were trembling in fear. The fragrance on the 3 girls was even thicker, even covering the natural fragrance of the flowers in the garden. It made Empress Dowager Zhou's nose itch, and she wanted to sneeze. It was hard for her not to lose her manners in front of the younger generation, but her face was not as kind as before. The 3 girls' hearts were filled with anxiety, not knowing what they had said to make the Empress Dowager unhappy. When Chun Ning appeared, Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes lit up. Her clothes were simple and elegant, but they did not lose their dignity. Compared to the other 3 girls who were dressed like phoenixes, she was even more attractive. "Come, Immerse, you are this widow's granddaughter-in-law, so sit beside this widow. This is the great teacher Xia's palace's Xia Yuyan. This is Minister Wu's daughter, Wu Yu'er, and this is Censor Lu's family's Lu Wanting. You are all around the same age, so you can get closer." Empress Dowager Zhou introduced them with a faint smile. "Greetings to the 3 elder sisters." Chun Ning smiled as she greeted the 3 of them. The 3 girls all stood up and bowed down to her. "We don't dare be called this by the princess consort. We greet the princess consort." Empress Dowager Zhou smiled as she waved her hand and said, "We don't dare be called this by the princess consort. We greet the princess consort." The 3 girls were still very cautious. After sitting down, the eunuchs and maids began to bring in wine, fruits, and various cakes. Chapter 443. Qining noticed that the three girls were smiling politely on the surface, but there was a hint of hostility in their eyes. Their praises were all fake and exaggerated, so she could tell that they were not sincere. She couldn't help secretly finding this funny. Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to use these three to deal with her, but she never thought that the three of them would fight each other first. She smiled as she picked up a fruit and placed it in her mouth. Slowly chewing it, she narrowed her eyes to watch the show. Big Sister Xia. One has already heard that Big Sister Xia is talented and can compose a poem in 7 steps. Seeing Big Sister Xia today, you really are talented. I wonder if Big Sister Xia can open the eyes of the Empress Dowager and us in a bit and compose a poem in 7 steps. Lu Wanting sat beside Xia Yuyan and turned to Xia Yuyan with a smile. Her smile was very gentle and her voice was as gentle as water. The smile on Xia Yuyan's face froze and she secretly gritted her teeth. She was indeed the #1 talented woman in the capital. Composing a poem was not difficult for her. She came to the banquet today because she wanted to show off her talent and show off her talent. But composing a poem in 7 steps, how could this be possible? Little Sister Wan Ting is joking. The rumors are exaggerated and cannot be believed. I have only read a few more books than Little Sisters and know a few more words. How could I compose a poem in 7 steps? But Big Sister has heard people say that Little Sister's zither skills are unparalleled in the world. Even when 100 birds hear Little Sister's zither, they will stop on their branches and sing along with Little Sister's zither. Did Little Sister bring your zither into the palace? I believe that the Empress Dowager is also waiting to hear Little Sister's zither music and see the scene of 100 birds. Xia Yuyan smiled at Lu Wanting. After saying this, the smile on Lu Wanting's face also froze. Her eyes grew teeth, like she wanted to bite Xia Yuyan. The so-called 100 birds singing along was just people praising her. Who in this world could really attract birds with their zither music? It was clear she wanted to make a fool of herself in front of everyone. Wu Yuer did not say anything and just listened with a faint smile. Then she placed the peeled lychees in front of Empress Dowager Zhou and said in a soft voice, "This lychee is fresh and sweet. If the Empress Dowager likes it, Yuer will help the Empress Dowager peel it again." Qinning's eyes fell onto Wu Yuer's face. She secretly thought that Wu Yuer was much more scheming than the other 2 girls. When Xia Yuyan and Lu Wanting saw this, they came to their senses and glared at Wu Yuer. Wu Yuer didn't see it and poured a cup of fragrant tea. "Empress Zhou, Empress Dowager Empress, please have some tea." Empress Dowager Zhou had already seen the fight between the 3 of them. She had been used to this kind of jealousy over the past few decades, so she didn't mind it at all. She took Wu Yuer's tea and praised with a smile, "It's still a filial child like you." Qining couldn't help feeling happy in her heart. This Empress Dowager Zhou was really interesting. Wasn't these words adding oil to the fire? This Amaf of Chun of was she of. As expected, when Empress Dowager Zhou's voice fell, Wu Yuer slightly lowered her head, hiding the proud look in her eyes. Xia Yuyan and Lu Wanting stood up together. "Empress Dowager, Yuyan will help you massage your shoulders. When I was at home, Yuyan often massaged Mother's shoulders and Mother said it was very comfortable." "Wu, good, good." Empress Dowager Zhou nodded with a smile. Chapter 444. Lu Wanting knelt down beside Empress Dowager Zhou and looked up as she said, "Empress Dowager, Wanting will help you massage your legs." "Good, good. You 3 children are very filial. This widow likes it." Empress Dowager Zhou narrowed her eyes in comfort. When Qining saw this, she almost couldn't contain her laughter. Empress Dowager Zhou really was an old fox. Just a simple sentence was enough to make these 3 girls fight. She really was an expert at manipulating the harem. She lowered her eyes and silently drank the tea in her cup. The harem, it really was a terrifying place. She could not understand why these girls wanted to dig their way in, wasting their flower-like youth on these senseless fights and jealousies. Even if they fought to the end and won, they would have wasted time and become old. Actually, Empress Dowager Zhou was the best example. As long as one saw her, they could see the future of a woman in the harem. Chun Ning suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. If she was really with Mo Chuan, wouldn't Empress Dowager Zhou's today be her tomorrow? The emperor has arrived. When the three girls were surrounding Empress Dowager Zhou, the clear voice of a eunuch suddenly rang out. The three girls were all stunned. Empress Dowager Zhou and Chun Ning were also stunned. They saw that outside the pavilion in the center of the lake, a tall and handsome figure was slowly walking over. His back was facing the sunlight, and his face couldn't be seen, but he had an innate noble aura around him. The eunuchs and maids on the way all bowed down to him. Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help but knit her brows. She did not want Mo Chuan to appear in this kind of situation at all. After all, if her son saw a mother like her humiliating his beloved girl, it would make her son hate her. But since he was here, she would let him personally see what kind of flower bag the girl he liked was, letting him give up on her as soon as possible. Empress Dowager Zhou's expression did not change. She waited for Mo Chuan to walk into the pavilion and bowed down to her. "Your son greets mother." His voice was like a cold spring hitting a stone, melodious and pleasant to listen to. When the three girls saw him approach, they couldn't help blushing and lowering their heads. When they heard his voice, their bodies trembled and their hearts began to beat like a little deer. But no one dared to look up at the emperor. "Emperor, aren't you busy? How come you have time to come to this widow's place?" Empress Dowager Zhou held her son's hand and asked with a smile. "Your son has finished his business and heard mother has good wine, so I've come to ask mother for a drink. Does mother not welcome your son?" Mo Chuan had a faint smile on his face, adding a smile to his flawless features. It made him look even more handsome and refined. The three girls were looking at him, and they were all enchanted by the faint smile on his face. "Emperor, you've come at the right time. Not only do I have good wine here, I also have good flowers. Come, sit beside me, and you'll be able to see them more closely." Mo Chuan sat on her right, and Mo Chuan sat on right, and sat on right while. "Ning Dowager," you said. Chuan sat on the threes, and you sat on Mo Chun. Ting won and said. Ting, as Dowager, you said. Chapter 445. She looked down and did not look at him, but her heart was filled with doubts. Why would he come here? Could it be that he heard that Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to make it hard for her, so he came here to support her? Or did he know that Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to choose an imperial concubine for him from these three girls, so he came to personally pick one? Come, let's start the feast. After Empress Dowager Zhou gave the order, the eunuchs and maids took away the snacks and began to pour out delicacies. The wine was fragrant and the food was delicious, but none of the people present were in the mood to eat. Everyone was filled with worries. The three girls were sitting beside the emperor, and they had never been this close to the emperor before. As long as they looked up, they could see his handsome, immortal-like appearance. Their hearts were about to jump out of their chests. How could they still have the mood to eat? They were all sitting very straight, each of them taking a few sips of tea. They did not touch the dishes the maids placed in their bowls at all. Thinking of how they were going to perform in front of the emperor after the meal, the three of them were filled with nervousness. How could they still eat anything? Shining's appetite was very good. She knew that she was just here today, so she ate whatever the maids placed in her bowl. Moreover, she ate it very sweetly. Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan's eyes unknowingly fell onto her face, especially Mo Chuan. He stared at her without blinking, not even willing to blink. The way she ate was not refined, but it was very natural. When she ate the delicious food, her large eyes slightly narrowed, looking just like a satisfied and greedy cat. Mo Chuan's lips slightly curled up, and his eyes unknowingly revealed a pampering look. Every time he saw her eat like this, he had an urge to rub her head. It was a pity that there was Empress Dowager Zhou between them today. He could only see, but not touch. Empress Dowager Zhou suddenly felt hungry. She looked away and picked up a piece of crab meatball with her chopsticks, slowly tasting it. She never liked eating this kind of fatty and oily food, but for some reason, seeing Chunning eat it so sweetly, she also had the thought of tasting it. Whoa, not bad. This crab meatball is very good. Sujin, pass on this widow's orders. The chef that made this dish will be heavily rewarded. Empress Dowager Zhou's words shocked Sujin. She saw that Empress Dowager Zhou had eaten half of the meatball, and her mouth was so wide that an egg could almost be stuffed in. Mother, this meatball is too oily. It's not good for you to eat too much. How about you eat something lighter? Mo Chuan placed a piece of dragon, well shrimp, on Empress Dowager Zhou's plate. All right. Empress Dowager Zhou smiled as she ate a mouthful of shrimp. Her eyes fell onto the plate in front of Mo Chuan, and she gave an E sound. Emperor, this widow remembers that your favorite thing to eat is the rock sugar chestnut cake. Why haven't you moved your chopsticks today? Could it be that the chef doesn't suit your taste? Mother has remembered wrongly. Your son has never liked this kind of sweet food. Dingyuan Princess, if you like it, then this one's portion can be given to you. Mo Chuan had already noticed that Chun Ning's rock sugar chestnut cake was eaten in a few bites, looking like she was still not satisfied. He picked up the plate and placed it in Xiao Xi's hands, looking at Chun Ning with a hint of his lips. Xiao Xi immediately took it and respectfully placed it in front of Chun Ning. Empress Dowager Zhou's face instantly sunk as she stared at Mo Chuan with a severe gaze. Chapter 446. The eyes of the three girls opened wide. Seeing the chestnut cake in front of the emperor being sent to Chun Ning, they couldn't help revealing looks of jealousy in their eyes. Chun Ning slightly opened her lips and stared at the chestnut cake in front of her. She didn't need to look to know that the three girls were staring at her with fiery eyes. What did Mo Chuan mean by this? Could it be that he didn't know that this action of his was equivalent to creating three large problems for her? She just wanted to silently watch the show, but now the situation had completely changed. The spearheads of the three girls were all aimed at her. Xiao Xi, this roast soup is not bad. Send it over to the princess. Mo Chuan put down the bowl of soup in his hand, and Xiao Xi immediately picked it up, sending it over to Chun Ning. Even Empress Dowager Zhou could not remain calm this time. Her eyes stared right at Mo Chuan, wanted to see what kind of medicine he was selling. Mo Chuan seemed like he did not notice Empress Dowager Zhou's anger at all. He looked up and suddenly revealed a smile at Chun Ning. This smile was like the clouds in the sky, looking incomparably brilliant. Chun Ning almost threw the bowl of soup in front of her at his face. The three girls almost began to cry. They were filled with anger and jealousy, glaring at Chun Ning with eyes that almost pierced a hole through her face. Why? Why did the emperor keep staring at the Dingyuan princess? Not only did he give her all the good food and drinks, he was even smiling at her. Was it because she had a pretty face? With a paw sound, Empress Dowager Zhou slammed her chopsticks down on the table. She couldn't eat anymore. She was so angry that she was full. This was simply nonsense. She understood that if Mo Chuan continued to sit here, it was unknown how much attention he would show to that girl in front of her and the three young ladies. Did he want to announce his relationship with the Dingyuan princess to the entire city? Mother, why aren't you eating anymore? Is this dragon, well, prawns not to your taste? Xiao Xi, pass down the order. The chef that made this dish will be punished with 50 strokes of a stick. Mo Chuan's expression did not change as he ordered Xiao Xi. Empress Dowager Zhou's chest was filled with anger as she slowly said, Emperor, this widow is full and wants to take a walk outside. Are you willing to take a walk with Mother? Your son is very willing. Mo Chuan immediately stood up and respectfully helped Empress Dowager Zhou up. The two of them slowly walked out of the pavilion in the center of the lake. The mother and son had intimate expressions, as if they were whispering to each other. In the eyes of the three girls, it was a warm scene of a mother and a filial son. But when the three of them came back to their senses and looked at Chun Ning's face, their expressions completely changed. When Empress Dowager Zhou and the emperor left, there were only 4 girls around the same age, as well as several maids and eunuchs serving food and wine. Lu Wanting's eyes turned, and she said with a smile, "The Empress Dowager and the Emperor are not here, so us sisters can talk among ourselves. We don't need these servants to serve us. What does elder sisters think?" Ning Xia Xiao Xia of Wu King of Xia. Chun, the three of them all looked at Chun Ning. "What does the princess consort think?" The three Chun. The three to the three looked at of the three girls. She look. Ning look at Chun of the Ning of the Oved. How could she not know what these three girls were planning? Chapter 447. She turned to Chun Ning with a smile and said, "Princess Consort, the Empress Dowager will be testing our talents in a bit. Elder Sister Xia knows how to recite poems. Elder Sister Wu is good at drawing, and Wunner is not bad at playing the zither. What talent does the Princess Consort want to perform?" As soon as her voice fell, Xia Yuyin slowly opened her mouth and said in a complaining voice, "Little Sister Wan Ting, who in the capital doesn't know that before the Princess Consort was married, she had a great reputation in the capital. Who doesn't know that the Princess Consort doesn't like to study and doesn't like to do needlework. She's a good-for-nothing young miss. If you want the Princess Consort to perform, wouldn't that be embarrassing the Princess Consort?" It had to be said that this Xia Yuyin was silent, but her words were even sharper than Lu Wanting's. There was no doubt that she was a jealous woman. Wu Yu'er said in a soft voice, "Elder Sister Xia, Little Sister Wan, the Princess Consort is very beautiful and is loved by King Ding Yuan. So how could she be useless? You can't speak nonsense and slander the Princess Consort's reputation. Princess Consort, please don't take offense." She gave Chun Ning a gentle smile and said, "Yu'er believes that the Princess Consort will give us a great shock and make the Empress Dowager and the Emperor look at you in a different light. Isn't that right, Princess Consort?" On listening to it, this Yu'er really knew how to talk. Each word was like a knife. These three people were fighting with each other, but when they saw that the Emperor did not even look at the three of them and was instead fawning over the Ding Yuan princess, they all stood together and attacked Chun Ning. Chun Ning revealed a smile and was not angry at all. She looked at the three girls in front of her with a playful expression. "That's right, you're right. This princess will definitely give you a great shock." The smiles on the three girls' faces froze, and they couldn't help secretly gritting their teeth. How could the Princess Consort's face be this thick? Could she not hear that the three of them were ridiculing her? She actually had this kind of shameless boasting appearance. Warner wants to ask the Princess Consort, what does the Princess Consort want to perform? Is it poetry, painting, singing, or dancing? Lu Wanting's personality was the most straightforward. She couldn't hold back and directly asked. Chun Ning smiled as she looked at her and said with a gentle smile, "Anything is fine." "Anything is fine?" The three girls couldn't help taking a cold breath as they stared at Chun Ning with disbelief. The Princess Consort's tone is really big. Now that there were only four of them in the pavilion and clan, Xiao Xiao, their consort, Ning and Ning Xiao and Ning Xiao. Now that there were only four of them in the pavilion, there was no need for them to pretend to be gentle and refined young ladies from a respectable family and have an overbearing aura. Perhaps. Chun Ning curled her lips into a smile. As she spoke, she picked up a grape and put it into her mouth. Oh, it's so sweet. She wasn't like these three silly girls who only cared about bickering and didn't even care about eating a table full of good food. Wu Yu'er pursed her lips into a smile and pretended to be intimate with Chun Ning. She said in a gentle voice, "Princess Consort, you don't know this, but elder sister Xia is a famous talented girl in the capital city. If her poems are said to be second, then no one would dare say they are first. You can perform anything later, but you can't compete with elder sister Xia's poems." Chapter 448. How could Xia Yu not hear this? Her brows knit together, and she said with a smile, "Little sister Yu Er's painting is from the great master. So the princess consort shouldn't compete with little sister Yu in painting, otherwise you'll make a fool of yourself." The three of them spoke back and forth, mocking each other while also shooting at Chenning. Chenning was still smiling the entire time, eating while listening. It was like the three of them were not mocking her, but rather praising her. From time to time, she would deliberately add vinegar to provoke the three of them, causing the three of them to fight endlessly like three fighting hens. The quarrel between the four of them in the pavilion fell into the ears of Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan in the flower garden. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard the three girls' mouths getting fiercer and uglier, her face became uglier and uglier. It was so dark that it almost dripped water. She stared at the three of them for a long time, seeing that the three of them were becoming more and more outrageous. She couldn't listen anymore and angrily turned to leave. Emperor, what is the meaning of this? She heard Mo Chuan's footsteps behind her and suddenly stopped. She turned around and angrily glared at Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan also stopped and calmly looked at Empress Dowager Zhou. What is mother asking? Your son does not understand. Stop pretending to be confused for this widow. You deliberately fawned over that lass during the banquet. Didn't you want these three girls to be jealous of her? You were purposely trying to embarrass them in front of that girl. Isn't that right? Empress Dowager Zhou said in a sharp voice. And Mo Chuan calmly replied, your son just wanted mother to clearly see what it means to do one thing in front of others and another behind their backs. If your son didn't do this, how could mother see such an interesting show? How presumptuous. This widow does not want to watch a show. These three girls are all talented and beautiful daughters of large families. Any one of them is over 100 times better than that girl. This widow wants to choose a virtuous and talented empress for you, not a good-for-nothing idiot. Emperor, do you dare come back with this widow? This widow will let that girl compete with these three girls and see who will embarrass themselves and who will be the idiot. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly said. She did not mind what had just happened. When she entered the palace in her teens, she had also said those words to those girls in the past. She had also been mocked by others, so it didn't matter at all. She was just angry that Mo Chuan was always on Chenning's side, wholeheartedly favoring her. Then she would open her son's eyes and see that the girl he liked was just an embroidered pillow. Your son is very happy. Mo Chuan nodded without even thinking and revealed a confident smile on his face. A girl that he liked must be unique in this world. How could she be as useless as Empress Dowager Zhou said? If this girl loses to those three girls, what will you do? Empress Dowager Zhou asked. Then this minister will listen to mother's decision. Whoever mother wants your son to marry, your son will marry. Mo Chuan seemed like he already guessed that Empress Dowager Zhou would say this, so his reply was very straightforward. Very good, a ruler doesn't lie. Empress Dowager Zhou was finally satisfied. She was waiting for Mo Chuan to say this. Her dark face revealed a smile, and she pulled Mo Chuan's hand. Come, let's go back to the pavilion in the center of the lake. Mo Chuan stood there without moving. Mother, if Ninger wins, then what? Chapter 449. The Empress Dowager and the Emperor have arrived. With the clear voice of a eunuch, Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan slowly walked into the pavilion in the center of the lake. Shen Ning was feeling very bored. Don't look at how the three girls looked smart. They were all stupid. Even their mocking words were the same. Without any new tricks, she was already tired of hearing it. Seeing that Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan had finally returned, she was instantly filled with energy. Have you all finished eating? Empress Dowager Zhou had a kind and gentle expression as she looked at the four girls in the pavilion with a smile. Finally, her eyes fell onto the table in front of Chun Ning, and her eyes froze. Without a doubt, she had not been idle when they were bickering. There was a pile of melon shells on the table. She raised her hand, and the eunuchs and maids came in, taking away the food on the table. Then they placed down a purple-red cloth, as well as a brush, paper, and various paints. The expressions of the three girls instantly became nervous, knowing that the main event of the day was about to begin. Empress Dowager Zhou sat in a chair as Su Jin served tea. She picked up the lid of the teacup and gently plucked the floating leaves off it. She slowly took a sip and put the teacup on the table. The three girls held their breaths the entire time, looking at Empress Dowager Zhou without blinking. Their hearts were beating fast, filled with nervousness and excitement. They had waited for this moment for a long time and finally had a chance to show their faces in front of the emperor. They had to grasp this chance and firmly attract the emperor's gaze onto them. The three of them slightly lowered their heads. Their cheeks were flushed with excitement, but their expressions were dignified. Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes looked over the faces of the three girls before falling onto Xia Yuyan. Just now, when I was walking with the emperor in the garden, I saw hundreds of flowers in full bloom, bees and butterflies dancing in the air. It was a scene of spring. Miss Xia, you have the reputation of being the most talented woman in the capital. Seeing such a beautiful scene, I'm sure you will be inspired to write a poem. Would Miss Xia be willing to compose a poem to add a touch of color to this beautiful spring scenery? She finally opened her mouth, and the first thing she mentioned was Xia Yuyan's name. Xia Yuyan looked down, hiding the excitement in her heart. She gracefully stood up and bowed down to Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan, speaking in a voice as sweet as an oriole. Yuyan is willing. She was secretly grateful that Empress Dowager Zhou had given her the chance to show her face. As long as she made a good poem, would she be afraid of not attracting the emperor's gaze? She was confident in her own beauty and even more confident in her own talent. Lu Wanting bit her lips and suddenly said, Empress Dowager, one has heard of Big Sister Xia's talent and heard that Big Sister Xia can compose a poem in 7 steps. Why doesn't Empress Dowager have Big Sister Xia compose a poem in 7 steps and praise the spring scenery? Dowager Zhou, Xia Yuyan, Xia Yu family Xia, Yu Xia Yu Ming. Xia Yuyan's expression changed, and she looked at Lu Wanting with eyes filled with hatred. Lu Wanting smiled and clapped her hands, revealing an innocent look. Then she smiled and said, That's right, that's right. Empress Dowager, when you and the emperor were admiring the flowers, elder sister Xia made a bet with the princess consort, saying that they would compete in poetry. If elder sister Xia can compose a poem in 7 steps, then the princess consort can as well. Ning, Dowager, and Ning. Chapter 450. Oh, so when this widow left, such an interesting thing happened. Ninger, I never thought that you would also know how to compose poems and want to compete with Miss Xia. Good. This widow and the emperor can have a feast today and enjoy the poems of 2 talented women from my West Chu country. Empress Dowager Zhou pushed the boat with the current. After saying this, she looked at Mo Chuan with a smile and patted the back of his hand. With a smile, she said, Emperor, let's discuss it together in a bit. Mo Chuan's face was a bit ugly. Although he had confidence in Chen Ning, he never thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would give them this kind of tricky problem, actually making them compose a poem in 7 steps. Composing poems was not like other skills. If one didn't have any knowledge, not to mention 7 steps, they wouldn't be able to compose a poem in 70 or 700 steps. Ding Yuan Princess, Miss Xia wants to compete in 7 steps with you. Are you willing? He didn't look at anyone else and only looked at Chen Ning. As long as she said she was unwilling, he wouldn't care what others thought and would immediately propose another way to compete. When Chen Ning heard this, she knew that he was trying to find an excuse for her. She revealed a faint smile and said with a nod, I'm willing. It was just composing poems. How hard was that? Although she didn't know how to compose poems, there were over 1,000 poems stored in the memory palace in her mind. Not to mention the spring scenery. Even if it was summer, autumn, and winter, it wouldn't be hard for her. You're really willing? Mo Chuan stared at her, not feeling assured. He was very clear on how much ink this girl had in her stomach. Just looking at her crooked Sichuan characters, she couldn't even write well. So how could she compose poems? Although she was extremely intelligent and quick-witted, poetry wasn't something that could be done well just by being intelligent and quick-witted. You had to pay attention to the rhythm and balance. Even a scholar might not be able to compose a good poem in 7 steps, not to mention a 16-year-old girl like her. Does the emperor not believe me? Chen Ning raised her brows, and her eyes lit up. Mo Chuan looked at her and unknowingly fell into a daze. When Empress Dowager Zhou saw the two of them looking at each other, her heart was filled with displeasure. With a forceful cough, she said, "Emperor, if Ning is willing to compete, then let's listen. Perhaps Ning will give us a large surprise." "All right, then this one will wait for Mother Surprise." Mo Chuan's expression did not change as he sat back down, but there was a faint smile on his lips. From the exchange of gazes just now, he already knew that she had a well-thought-out plan and would definitely not lose. Xia Yi bit her lips. She didn't think that after all this talk, they would actually agree to compose a poem in 7 steps. Although she was known as the #1 talented woman and had a great talent in poetry, she couldn't just casually compose a poem in 7 steps. If she couldn't do it, wouldn't she be making a fool of herself in front of everyone? What she was more worried about was that if she couldn't do it and the other could compose a poem in 7 steps, then wouldn't her title as the most talented woman be taken away by that idiot princess? Reporting to the Empress Dowager, since we were competing, it would be too easy to just compose a spring scenery poem. How about we ask the Empress Dowager to come up with a topic, and me and Miss Xia will compose a poem in 7 steps. Chen Ning saw that Xia Yuyin did not say anything and knew that she did not have any confidence. She might as well come up with a topic and increase the difficulty, pushing her a bit. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.